Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 371 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney. For my friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. What is up, gang? Lots of stuff to talk about this week, but it's a huge week for the Chiclets gang. It's the first ever Chiclets Cup in Vegas. The boys are fired up, so let's check in with the commissioner, Mikey Grinelli. What's the latest?
Big week for Chiclets. Big week for me personally as well. A lot of time and energy and effort has gone into this tournament. So one could even say it's the biggest week of my career. I'm super excited, but even more exciting news, guys, I got a dog. Little Ravioli. She came home this past week. She's the best dog in the world. She's a Pembroke Corgi. I love her so much, but I'm very, very excited to get to the Chiclets Cup. But I can't lie, I'm very excited to go play with little Ravioli after this.
Congratulations, buddy. Ravioli,
huh?
So you got a dog and then you're leaving for Vegas. That's great.
Yeah.
Tough.
Let your girl clean up its shit.
Tough luck.
What's a Pembroke mean? Like, what's the thing before? Like, is it a certain type of corgi? Like, is it a purebred? What does that mean?
I think it means it's from England.
Interesting. Boyd Gordon has a corgi. He's obsessed with them. So they're pretty good dogs. Very obedient, but a little bit on their own program. I think they tend to like the solo missions. They don't like other dogs, right?
Yes, I was told they are socialites and they are very picky with who they like to hang out with. So we'll see how this goes, boys.
Real bitches, huh?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Biz, what's going on with you, buddy? How's your weekend?
Oh, well, a shit show as far as the travel's concerned, but very much well worth it. Yeah, I was on a tarmac for 6 hours in Chattanooga. Is that how you say it? In Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. I went to bed. We left Orlando. I went to bed, and I was supposed to fly into Atlanta on a connector, and I woke up in Chattanooga and then spent 6 hours on a tarmac. But as I said, very much well worth it. We went to the Orlando Solar Bears game on the Thursday night, ended up staying up till about 2:30, 3 o'clock with those East Coasters, and what a time. Whit, you ended up joining us kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing, but I mean, talk about an electric factory as far as a building and the way that they run operations there in Orlando. They end up pulling off the game in overtime, and it brought me back to my wheeling days. And that's all part of that jungle series we're doing with the ECHL, and that was our first pit stop.
There cannot be a better place in the East Coast Hockey League to play than the Orlando Solar Bears organization, because the rink is better than a lot of NHL rinks. It's where the Orlando Magic play. Just a great setup. And they have like the top bowl kind of blacked out, or like there's tarp up there. So there must have been 7,500 at the game. We got to go through their entire facility, their practice facility. It's just top notch, and the game was great. I loved catching up with the coaching staff before the game. It was Drake Barahowski and Jarrett Stahl actually coaches there. I think it's his third year there. I was dying laughing too, because I played with obviously his brother Jordan in Pittsburgh a little bit and got to know his parents just briefly, but great people. And he was telling me that he'll clip his dad's men's league games and send him clips and be like, "What is this play right here, Dad?" So he's like, well, you got to dump this puck in. So he's watching his.
Mr. Stahl's still playing men's league up in Thunder Bay?
Yes, he is. He also still works, I think, full time. So I think they spend their winters in Estero, he was mentioning, but he still works. He's like, my dad's an animal, and when he's playing hockey, I'm calling him out. I'm like, wake up. So I think that the East Coast Hockey League, I never played in that league, but I did experience how fun it must be for a lot of guys in meeting all the boys, going out with them after. The atmosphere they play in is phenomenal. It was a great game. We put a ton of money on the board. I got to send them a check now. They were up 3-0. I was like, oh, fuck, this is going to be an expensive night. Utah comes back to tie at 3-3. The Solar Bears got it done 4-3 overtime. And it was Pink Whitney night, so people were crushing the Pink Whit. I had a blast. All the people I got to meet there, it was just a really fun night, and I really respect what those guys are going through, because not every city is like that. Not every organization. I mean, Wheeling, is a little different than Orlando. So I think that the guys really appreciate playing there and know how good they have it.
Well, on top of that, too, a bunch of Chiclets fans showed up. So if we didn't end up seeing you there, it was a pretty chaotic game because we were bouncing around. We were in the hot tub for a little bit, although Whit didn't want to get in the hot tub. He was keeping his shirt on. He didn't want to.
You think I'm a hot tub guy? You think I'd get in a fucking rolled up, blown up hot tub with you, G, and two other random dudes? You fucking
Ray,
insane?
you would have been in the mix.
No, he wouldn't have been either. I'll tell you that. RA and I are the shirts on guys on the
tops
podcast.
off in public, not my thing. Unless you're fucking rolling out the dough. Unless you bring out the Brinks truck, I ain't taking my fucking.
They also,
see
I think they had buses picking up like college kids because there was just a party section in the arena. 3 different sections was the Pink Whitney party, $20 to get in. So they sent this bus around town to pick up all these college kids. So it was, that was one of the craziest atmospheres I've seen in minor league hockey. So I'm down to maybe check some more Solar Bears games out.
Biz, what was the hat chug all about? What were you chugging out of a hat? I've seen people shoot the boot, but never quite out of a hat before.
I don't really want to divulge that,
okay.
Right, G? I want to keep that for the video because it actually ends up tying in perfectly there. What was the last thing I was going to mention about? Oh, I think I'm going to try to take a stab at owning an ECHL team at some point. I think that it's like, just talking about the competitiveness, those guys were battling for every single loose puck. That might be, the fact that Barahowski is the coach might have a part to do with it, and the fact that he's a bit of a lunatic. And all the guys after their win were trying to get me to go in and get the next day off. And I went in and he says, absolutely not. And apparently they had a bag skate the next day.
Did they?
Yeah, because we ended up going out for a few pops, and I'm sure he caught wind. So I will say, though, like on that championship team I had with the Calder Cup there with Stothers, he was pretty hard as far as the skates were concerned. So making sure we would always sweat it out the day after. So what can you say? You got to work hard, and they're one of the better teams in the ECHL. So they're chasing a championship right now. It is a little bit difficult in the ECHL though, because your team can change week to week. Like they were saying at some points they would have like 12 guys of their roster be there because they'd either have call-ups or maybe guys on the COVID list or guys going to different leagues to help out with guys who are on the COVID list. So next thing you know, all of a sudden you get this like e-bug wouldn't even be the word. Like you're pulling a guy off the fucking street to strap the pads on him, and anybody, even roller hockey players, to try to join the lineup.
The guy at Jimmy John's has like a Panthers hat. You're like, dude, we need you to play. He's like, I've never played hockey. I did something that'll be on the video of the game that changes my lookout and opinion on a certain profession forever. So that we'll go a little more in depth on that when the video is finally released. But holy shit, Grinelli witnessed what I did, and it was a gong show. I'll say that.
And I guess we got to thank Shauno too, because he just puts in so much work behind the scenes. He actually just edited that the ice fishing video that released yesterday. They helped with the axe throwing video. What was the one that we did before that from Minnesota? We had a bunch of videos.
He put together the vlog, but most important, he drove back from Georgia because all his flights were canceled to get home from Orlando.
Get the fuck out of here.
He rented a car last night and just drove back. And then he's editing all day again today. He's a G. He's a real one.
He's a workhorse.
He is.
Yeah, after Chiclets Cup, we might have to give him like a week sabbatical. Maybe send him. Send him down to Tulum.
Let's remind Biz that you just say we'll give him a week off. Biz will be calling him the second night.
What are we going to do then? We're going to do like a best of episode? Who's going to be editing, Grinelli?
Well, you just said give him a week off.
I know.
I guess I'll do it back to how it was a couple years ago.
Yeah, so all you Chiclets fans who bitch if we don't put a video out or do anything for a week straight, direct all your hate towards me for the week after Chiclets Cup and lay off Grinelli and Sean, please.
All right, well, it's a big weekend for puck fans coming up. We got the skills competition, the All-Star game, and, of course, I just said the Chiclets Cup, so make sure that you're stocked up on the birdie juice. Pink Whitney. We saw you guys enjoying it in the hot tub down in Orlando, but if you can't find a hot tub to enjoy it in, just head over to your local bar and order up some of that smooth and tasty Pink Whitney. All right, boys, moving right along. Championship Sunday yesterday. Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl, boys. We got to lead off with football again. They were 150 to 1 shot beginning of the year, won 4 games last year. That was the 5th straight NFL playoff game that ended on the game's final play. Some great drama. Then, of course, the Rams beat San Fran. San Fran probably choked on that one. Let's go to you first for your take on the games yesterday.
I think Tony Romo was having Pink Whitney in the booth last night. Holy shit, Whit.
Yeah, and for people who don't know what he's talking about, was that him who said, let him score here? Let him score? Was that Romo?
I think
is that what you're talking about?
I think a lot of people had that take because it has been done in playoff games. Listen, I'm not saying that it should be the case, but I'm saying a lot of professionals media people. I'm not saying guys who have played the game. I'm saying a lot of people were saying to let them score so they would have at least have enough time to go back and drive. But, I mean, we all saw what happened.
So that game was amazing. And Joe Burrow, what a cool cat. Just the next up-and-coming superstar QB. And there's a lot of them. I think we mentioned all these young guns, Mahomes, Allen, all the guys in the AFC. But Joe Burrow, like this guy. And one of the coolest things was in 2019, that's when they won it at LSU, correct? Or was it 2020? Either or. It was 2 or 3 years ago. He won it.
2019.
And Tyler Shelvin, I don't know who this guy is, but apparently he played at LSU. He's carrying him off the field after they beat Alabama in the SEC title game that year. And the same Tyler Shelvin was carrying him off the field. He's now a Bengal with Burrow yesterday after winning the AFC title game. So an unreal kind of sequence of events. Not to mention that Jamar Chase, one of the best rookie wide receivers of all time, he was on LSU too. So it's just a wagon, and you could tell the whole culture changed. I know Burrow got hurt last year. This team had 2 wins, I think, 2 years ago when they got a first overall pick, and then 4 last year, and then what they've done. It's just such a quick turnaround. It's kind of what happened a little bit when Crosby got to Pittsburgh. Like, he didn't battle the injury his rookie year the way Burrow did, but things just changed so fast. And then they had Malkin, kind of the Jamar Chase, just these 2 superstars that come in. I was so happy for Bengals fans, so happy for the city of Cincinnati. And the game, in my mind, I watched this game. I didn't miss a second of this game. The next game, I was running around with the kids and didn't get to catch the whole thing until the end. But this game, the end of the first half, Andy Reid's clock management and decision on that play, it cost them the game. They're up. What was the score at that time? Excuse me, boys.
I think it was 21-3.
It was 21-3, and you can make it 20. I'm sorry, you can make it 28-3. Pretty much game over. That's it. It's done. And they end up calling this horrible play. I guess Mahomes, when he threw it back to Tyreek Hill and he gets tackled, no timeouts, half ends, they don't get any points, not even the 3. Apparently, if he didn't see anything quick, he was kind of supposed to throw that away to guarantee the field goal. But what an absolute disaster of this first half, because the entire game changed after that. The defense came out. They were animals for Cincy the second half. My brother Colin had the best line. He said Mahomes in the second half was like a character in, what's the movie? Space Jam, and like the Monstars stole all his talent. He sucked. Now, you got to give the Bengals credit. That defense they were ridiculous. They were nonstop energy assassins, but Mahomes, he had nothing. I think that was the only time in his career he didn't score a TD in the second half. I might be wrong on that. I was blown away.
It seemed like it sucked the life out of his body language too. Like in the second half, he looked completely different. Even when they would pan to him on the sidelines, he looked like he was nervous and like the game was just slipping away every time they panned to him. No?
Yeah, he heard Jackson Mahomes doing halftime TikToks. And also, I also had a weird feeling. Now, granted, things didn't change till quite a bit after, but when Mahomes did that little shimmy shake, Kelsey and him,
you didn't like that?
No, I didn't like that. You think the Bengals saw this guy shimmy shaking, looking like it's over in the first or second quarter? Fuck you, Chiefs. These guys the Chiefs fans are a disgrace. I mean, they're talking like dynasty legends. You guys, I mean, who knows how long this is going to continue? You have this amazing quarterback locked up, but they have done nothing. It's just an awful loss at home. They looked awful the second half. Their quarterback was brutal, and if right now you could give me Burrow or Mahomes, I'm taking Joe Burrow.
Wow.
I think Joe Burrow is one of those guys. He has it all. He's got that it factor. Not only is he a stallion, he's an absolute stud. He's got great style, the confidence, the charisma, and just the winning. He's just a winner. You can just tell there's something about him. So I'm on this Bengals bandwagon. I hope they win. I hope they beat LA. I love the game. Go Cincy.
Well, he would become the first player ever to win a national championship, the Heisman, and the Super Bowl. I found that odd that nobody had ever done that before. Listen, I read it on Twitter, so there's probably 6 other guys who have already done it. But as of right now, that's what I read on Twitter, so I'm going with it.
Well, he would be the first. I know he'd be the first overall pick ever to win the Super Bowl in his first 2 years, in his first or second year. So, I mean, that makes sense, right? You're getting picked first overall. It's usually like the Jaguars or some other trash organization, which the Bengals have been, but he's changed it all. So, the second game, the one thing I saw that was just such a ridiculous sequence of events was the fact that Tart, he dropped a pass for San Francisco. He has a pick right in his hands. Game over, probably. I mean, there was time left, but still. And he drops it. That's why he's not a wide receiver. It just doesn't have the hands. And what happens the next play? Stafford throws like a 25-yard perfect pass to OBJ, who then gets hit in the head. A stupid penalty. So add another 15 yards on it, and the comeback began. So I don't know who's going to win. It's a great helmet matchup. I'll say that. Cincy LA, the helmets are phenomenal.
The stupidest thing I saw yesterday, or 2 days ago now, because this is coming out Tuesday, was them setting up the speakers to that halftime performance.
Oh, that was amazing.
The fact that they went through and did the entire segment, what was probably like 10, 12 minutes, and they had this famous country band just rocking hardcore speakers right into their yaps. These guys were shouting it to their mics. But it was like 10, 12 minutes of just full blast. He couldn't hear him.
They couldn't hear anything.
No, they couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't hear anything. So that was a ridiculous moment. I thought the second game was a lot more boring. Yeah. If it would have been San Francisco that would have won, I would probably say one of the least interesting Super Bowls. But now the fact that it's the Rams, you have the Stafford storyline. OBJ could win his first. Sam Darnold. Is it Sam Darnold?
No, he was the quarterback for the Jets.
I
think
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald, yeah.
He's a beast.
Oh, so my God.
It'll be an interesting one. Now, somebody also sent out a message. It'll be the first time that somebody is the host and also participant in the Super Bowl as the home team.
Yeah, it's only the second time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, last year Tampa hosted it, but they were the away team in it. So I think this is the first time that the home team is going to host.
What does that matter, though? Like, it's not like hockey where you get, like, the last change.
I know. It makes I don't know. It was just something that, once again, that I read that I figured that I'd mention.
Okay, fair enough.
Playoff game.
No, they have to change. They have to change in the other locker room and use the shitty away room.
I bet you're probably right, actually. That's probably true.
Yeah, there are a ton of San Fran fans. Even the Rams coach come out and was like, hey, stop selling tickets to San Fran fans, because they were gone for so long. You got to think 21 years there in St. Louis. That's like a couple of generations of kids who just didn't grow up being Rams fans. So it was a tough sell for them. But
I was really happy for Stafford too. You know, going through what he did in Detroit, he seems like, you never really heard a bad word spoken about him. Seems like teammates love him, and he grinded out some tough years with the Lions. So to see him have some success and get his chance at a Super Bowl, it's really one of the who's the kid who works for Barstool now from Detroit? Chris something. He had a tweet. It's like the most likable QB matchup of all time. Like, I don't really think there's many people who dislike Burrow or Stafford. So it should be a great game. As a Bengals fan, I'm a little worried. Their offensive line isn't great, and that defensive line on the Rams is ridiculous. They just bull rush the QB every time. So Burrow's in one.
Yeah, the line is 4. It opened up at it's still 4 right now. And wait, you just said a minute ago it's 28-3 game over, but we know that's not the case. If a team's winning 28-3, they don't always win because Tom Brady brought the Patriots back in the Super Bowl, and the man is retired. It's not he hasn't officially announced it, but Schefter in Darlington broke it the other day. I think he's probably just waiting to do something with his documentary. But the greatest of all time is not playing football anymore. How are you despondent? You sad? You happy? What's your take first? Then we'll go to G.
I'm not sad, not despondent, just more like want to run. I mean, he's 44 years old. He's probably, people will come at me. I think he's the best athlete of all time. I think he is the most successful athlete in the history of sports. There's an argument to be made, no doubt. You can come at me, come at my mentions. Tiger Woods, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan. Tom Brady, though, is at another level, and the way he did it is just class. People who say he's a cheater are idiots. He did it with good looks. He did it with legendary leadership. He did it with accuracy, and he did it over and over and over. So consistency was just his bread and butter. I got to watch what I think is the greatest athlete of all time in my prime years of watching sports, from my freshman year of college until right now. I'm a little different than my freshman year of college. I hate to mention that, and it seems like he's the exact same. He's just a machine. I think whatever he does next will be successful. I saw I think Jerry Thornton on Barstool wrote an article of the theories on what actually happened. Was he's filming the Man in the Arena documentary. And as anyone's noticed, I think they're on episode 9 or 10 now, and they're continuing to film. And obviously when they lost last week against the Rams, they're going to do an episode on that. And a lot of people think that is when he was going to announce his retirement, at the end of the documentary. And possibly somebody at ESPN Plus got word already and kind of leaked it. But Schefter, tough look for that guy. Holy shit. I mean, you can't say the greatest football player of all time is retiring and then have the guy come out and say, no, I'm not. I mean, that is just... Talk about making a reporter look bad. I also think Brady was probably a little pissed off because in the end, he probably wants to decide it himself and let everyone know himself. He's into the media game. But I don't know, G. You loved watching him as well.
Didn't RA do that? Didn't he announce Rick Nash's retirement, and then it happened 6 months later? So it was technically, you were right, RA, which I still don't know if you've gotten credit for.
Yeah, I said he wasn't going to be playing in the NHL again and would be retiring, and that's what happened, yeah.
Did you get the proper credit that you deserved?
No, but I didn't really pitch about that time.
Oh, okay.
It was a few months later. But no, I held firm with it. I was told by a second source, stick with it. It's going to happen. But I know we want to get a word from G. He grew up on Brady. You were a little kid when he started playing.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. I think he took over when I was 8 years old and then left the Pats when I was 25. So, all I've ever really known is winning football from Tom Brady. So, but I'll be honest with you, I'm happy to see him go. Only a matter of time before this guy's at Barstool HQ, which means I'm closer to meeting him. So I'm not really sad that he's going.
What is the under-over the fact that he steps foot at Barstool HQ, Whit, do you think?
Like percentage-wise?
Probably set a money line on it.
Why did I say under-over?
I think it's like plus 250. I don't know. I think if he does something with someone from Barstool, it'll probably be on his terms. I don't think he's walking into the office in that disgusting area in New York City, smelling the trash, and then dealing with Frank the Tank yelling in his face about some pick he threw against the Dolphins 10 years ago.
Spends a lot of time in New York City, though. He does. He spends a lot of time there. He lives there in the offseason, so you never know.
I should probably sit out the GOAT talk, this one. But on a serious note, 44 goes out. People said that he should get the MVP. Other people are saying that Rodgers is going to get it. I mean, buddy, to get to go out with a season like that at 44, you get to walk away with your head high. And sometimes it's hard seeing these guys hang on and just, get obliterated. And I mean, I would say Peyton Manning had a pretty tough exit, right? He couldn't really throw the ball that far. Injuries. And it was kind of hard to watch where, I mean, Brady was still playing at the top of his game.
I don't know if they do the voting the day the regular season ends, but if they haven't done the voting for some reason for MVP, I think he might win it now because of the fact that he is retiring. If he does, I mean, who knows what the fuck's going on. But the way he went out exactly is, you're right, Biz. It's to go out on top, and now they didn't win it all, but his final game was an amazing comeback. It was pretty standard for him in the way they came back and got into that game. It's always nice, I think, as a fan of sports, to watch a guy go out when he's still at the top of his powers, as opposed to just having different memories of a player when they're really struggling at the end. That's not to take away from guys who really want to leave on their own terms and aren't ready at times and know they're not the same player they once were. But as a fan, you're I don't want to remember this legend like that. So that'll never happen with TB12.
Yeah, I'm appreciative for everything he did. Unfortunately, he did spoil the last 20 years of Patriots fans. That they don't know what it's like to have a shitty Patriots team like I did for the first 20 years.
Or an average team. Well, they weren't even really average.
No, they were brutal. And I've said this to fans of other teams, and it sounds arrogant, but for example, Bengals or Browns or Lions fans, if the Patriots can get to this level, then any organization can, because they were that laughing stock for so long, for such a long time. So
hear that, Yotes fans?
Oh, yeah. You need more than 5,000 fans to get to that level, though. All right, one last thing in football before we move on.
Yep.
You mentioned Browns fans. These poor pricks. They saw Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh all those years dominate their division, and now they see Burrow coming into Cincy, their own state. It's just a sad, sad day once again to be a Browns fan. Poor pricks.
Biz, you mentioned you travel snafu a little while back. Nothing worse than being stuck on the plane on the tarmac. You can't go anywhere. But you said you had an AirPod situation that you wanted to share with us.
Actually, I got a pretty funny call from Whit because he was dealing with his own travel dilemma. But I was actually going to bring that up. I think in Canada there is a rule. You can only sit 2 hours on the tarmac. Anything longer than that, they actually have to pull back in and people can get off the flight. So as I said, I was on for about 3.5 hours. They pulled into the gate and people were allowed to exit, but they had to stay within the little confined area off the plane to get snacks because they ran out on board. So basically I was on an airplane for 6 straight hours just sitting there, which is absolute bullshit. So Whit, what was you had a pretty wild travel story, didn't you?
Yeah, it wasn't really wild. It was just more like just pathetic. I'm a stupid human being sometimes. But quickly, I remember JetBlue had a flight that sat on the runway at Logan Airport for 11 hours. The people were on the plane. Google this. This was I want to say 6-7 years ago. I'm not exactly sure. And I remember talking with my buddy as like the story broke. It was on the news. I would have pulled the emergency exit, gone down the slide, and taken the arrest. Because at some point you can't. That's like unhealthy. That'll mess with your mind. That's like watching A Clockwork Orange or whatever that fucking horrifying movie we talked about was. You must have been flipping. I know you.
No, I was pretty calm the entire time until hour 3. And, I was this close to reaching TMZ status where I was coming over the top ropes. So everybody's just chilling. Some people are eating some of the snacks that were still left as we were running out. And I just had my mask down because I was calling, I think I called Katie at the time because I just had to let her know what was going up. And when you're talking with your mask on, it kind of gets caught in your mouth. So I just took it down.
Wet.
Everybody else around me has their mask down eating, and this fucking flight attendant comes up. Can you please take your mask off, sir? I was like, are you fucking kidding? This fucking same dirty air has been recycling in this plane for 4 hours now. If there's COVID in here, we're going to get it. All right, buddy? It doesn't matter if I pull my mask down and finish this conversation. Mind you, after I was done the phone call, my mask can be down so I could eat my fucking, what do you call those little fishies?
Nothing
it's the dumbest shit. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm not going to even go deep into it, but I wanted to fist fight this guy in the alleyway, maybe create some on-flight entertainment. So I don't know what the rules are in the States for as far as how long you can sit on the tarmac. I think they need to button that up.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. That's a legit thing Canada has. Freedom Convoy. Shout out my AirPods story. So I went to Tuesday night. We drove to Long Island to catch Keith's game, the record breaker. We'll get into that a little bit later, but naturally, that's a 5 a.m. That's a 4 a.m. night. So I'm gassed. I drive back Wednesday to Boston. Thursday morning, take off to Orlando. We had another late night. So Friday, I fly back Friday morning. I'm exhausted. And I get in and I walk to my car. I'm holding my AirPods case. Like, I'm out to lunch. My car's like 2 people parked horrifically. I could barely get into the thing. I almost had to climb in through the trunk. But as I'm squeezing into like my door, I dropped the AirPod case. Okay, which is just a nightmare, because whenever the AirPod case drops, those things go flying.
Gonzos. For
people who don't know have AirPods, you'll understand if you ever get them. So I'm like, oh, fuck. It's like 6 o'clock. I know there's going to be traffic, and I'm down on my hands and knees, and I'm looking for the AirPod case, and it's like in the middle underneath the car next to me. So I'm laying down on the fucking disgusting Logan Airport parking garage, and I can't reach it, so I got to go back on my car where I got Ryder's hockey stick, and I'm swooping it, and I got it. All right, I get it. Now, where are the AirPods? Because they went flying, right? Where are these fucking AirPods? I'm looking around. I go to the car to the right of me because maybe they went under my car to the car to the right of me. I'm now back on my fucking stomach looking under this car. And I get up. I can't find them. I'm like, motherfucker. And this guy walks by. He's like, can I help you, man? Everything okay? Nicest guy in the world. His like temperament, everything. I'm like, no, man, you can't. I appreciate it. I dropped my AirPods and I can't find them. I got the case. I can't find them. He goes, dude, they're in your ear. Not only was it in my ear, I took out the one so I could talk to him. So one was in my big ear and the other one was in my hand.
Well, I don't blame you for forgetting the one in your big ear. It might get lost in there.
Can't feel it. He looked at me. I go, it's been a long week. It's been a long week, and I'm going to Vegas next week. He goes, oh shit, good luck, man. So yeah, it was a tough Friday for your boy. I called you right away. I'm like, buddy, this is where I'm at right now, because I knew you'd been up even later in Orlando than I'd been.
Yeah, that was a good night, guys. That was such a blast. Anyway, what do you got, RA?
Well, we were just talking about goats, so that's a good segue into Biz's appearance on TNT last week. You got up close and personal with the goat. It was Wayne Gretzky's 61st birthday, so they had a goat on site you got to play with and pet. But Biz, man, I texted you. I know I pump your tires all the time, but you were like fucking George Carlin last week, man. Between the Dylan Larkin interview, getting chirped by him, Marshawn, and then Stevie Y. I mean, Stevie Bong Rips. We talked about it before the show. You teed it up perfect. Should we roll it, G, for the folks who might not have got it last week?
Steve, Paul Bissonnette here. You talk about your career and then obviously transitioning as an incredible hockey mind on the management side of things. Given that there's probably a lot of it constantly on your mind, what do you do in order to decompress when you get away from the rink and maybe enjoy yourself?
I can't be honest with that one. Not on national TV. I watch a lot of hockey. It's unreal. I'm probably doing the same thing that you guys do. Like, I watch games. I'll go home tonight and I'll watch a late game. And to get away from it, I'd like to say I play golf, but I'm not very good and I don't enjoy it, so I question why I do that. I don't even have the attention span to read books. I listen to audio books, so that's what I do. I lay in bed with my earphones in and listen to books. I guess that's what I do to take my mind off and sleep.
That's the OHL education, Stevie.
Exactly. I was Scholastic Player of the Year in grade 11, by the way.
Of course you were.
I didn't graduate from 12th grade, but grade 11 was a good year.
All right.
Well, if you need to unwind, we'll get you Biz's number.
I mean, just all-time. I don't know if he knew it was coming, but his answer just made it even better.
I don't, boys, I can't even tell you how nervous I was going into that question. It was a coin toss, and the minute it came to me, I made the decision. I'm going to fucking ask it. Now, the good thing is I did, because I don't really know where I would have gone with any other type of question, so I would have fucked it even worse. I guess the good news is I kind of softened it up for him in order to have, I guess, somewhat of a decent answer. And to me, the funniest part of all of it, I chirped him about the OHL education, and of course, Stevie Y, 11th grade Scholastic Player of the Year OHL, for fuck's sake.
He did.
So, yeah. So, like, is there anything this guy, although then he went on to say that he didn't even end up going on to graduate. I don't know if he was in the NHL at that time or why he didn't finish his high school degree, but what an answer from Stevie. Does that clarify that he's actually ripping the bong? Did he just leave it open-ended? If he's not ripping the bong, what else is he doing that he has to hide?
That's what I said to myself. I said, this guy, so anything you basically can't tell the public is illegal, right? Unless he's like into like Furbies or something like that.
Eyes wide shut type shit? Like,
Furbies
what's going
or
on
furries?
Well, what are they called, already?
You mean furries or Furbies? Like Furbies are those
furries.
little toys. Or
Yeah,
furries are like...
What are
people dress
Furbies?
up.
I thought Furbies were the people who dressed up as the furries and then
They're
bang,
like,
so the B is involved.
They're like Beanie Babies on acid, Furbies.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, furries. I just couldn't believe it. It was so perfect. I'm like, this guy, is he admitting to an illegal activity in his private life, Stevie Y? An amazing question, Biz. The fact you got that type of answer, you basically got one of the most powerful men in hockey to not be able to speak.
I would say definitely my favorite GM in the National Hockey League right now. What else? What else did he end up saying? That because the answer went on a while. Oh, he talked about doing audiobooks because he's got ADHD. So then right away I thought of the little GIF of like, he's one of us. He's one of us. He's one of us.
Somebody on Twitter said, ask him what his favorite audiobook strain is.
So Sativa Heiserman confirmed, ladies and gentlemen.
It was a great question, Biz. Did you think of it on your own?
Well, no. I mean, we joked about it on the podcast. I just didn't know how I was going to frame it because I talked the night before. I ended up grabbing dinner with one of the guys who works for TNT, Gibby, and the team had called and said, stay away from the weed chatter. Obviously.
You think?
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. So I had to figure out a way to frame it in order to get the best answer. And who knows, maybe he would have said something else as far as decompression, because I want to say last year in an interview, he talked about how he does yoga and maybe meditation on the side in order to calm himself down. So I thought maybe that was an angle that he would have taken on the answer. But yeah, jammed up Stevie Y surprisingly, and that was definitely a fun show. And we had it was a bit of a goal fest in the first game between Chicago and Detroit, but the real marquee matchup was the one between Colorado and Boston, because we had Marchie again, who came in for the pregame interview. I got to joke around about him about the Prius and him comparing Trocheck to a Prius, but that game, I mean, do you want to get into it right now,
Yep,
RA? I'll tee you up for it. Yeah, because that hit by Halsey.
Yeah, Boston, Colorado, very playoff-like atmosphere. Looked like to be a lot of Bruins fans out there. You could see them on TV. 4-3 overtime win by Colorado. Cale Makar's 17th. But, of course, the talk was Hall's hit on Nate Dogg. And, obviously, Twitter was erupting with all the crazy takes. But, you know, we saw the slow motion. His own stick hit him in the face. He was trying to get his stick over to the other side. Got caught at the worst possible time. It's kind of ironic, too, because Taylor Hall, I mean, doesn't throw a lot of checks. So when he does, it seems like bad things happen when he does. That's the second time someone got rung up by him this year. But we felt terrible for McKinnon. And sometimes, Biz, I think in a situation like that, I know he ended up with a facial fracture, which was probably a broken nose, and a concussion. But sometimes like that, it's almost, as weird as it sounds, it's almost good to see blood there, because it means it's just a cut, and as opposed to a guy being down for 10 minutes and having to get stretched off. But he did end up with a concussion anyways. And then, of course, for the rest of the game, the Avalanche were going at Hall, and like we've said on the show for years, Whit, you don't have to fight anymore in the NHL if you don't want to, and that was a perfect example of it. Like Hall just wouldn't engage. Like you can't force a guy to fight. I don't know, Biz, do you think he should have answered the bell? Do you think he would have done the right thing had he fought?
I mean, I'm sure my opinion might be different if it was, if it was my superstar being hit. I think that the response by Landeskog is one that we expect. To me, one of the best leaders in the game. He obviously was going to command a high number in free agency, but these are the types of intangibles he brings. He's not only a great player, he's a great leader, and he's also the guy who, when something like that happens, he's willing to go over there and sacrifice his body on the fighting side of things. Now, I don't think that Taylor... I like the response from Colorado, and I like the response from Boston. I didn't think that Taylor Hall had to fight. I will say, though, my number one takeaway from watching Boston a little bit more closely over the last couple weeks, they need to address toughness. I never thought I'd have to say this about the Boston Bruins. They need their McQuaid back. They need... I'm drawing a blank on the other defenseman they had who was willing to chuck him. Kevin Miller. They need some toughness back in their lineup. Like who's the guy in their lineup that you would say is their quote unquote heavy? Who's the guy who should be? Who's the guy who should have went up to Landeskog in order to defuse that situation, to either have Landeskog fight him or then would have potentially had to fight McDermott? Because listen, what did Colorado do in the offseason? They went and acquired McDermott. So nobody else in that lineup really has to worry. I think that people are well aware that in a game like that, and keep in mind, I'm drawing a blank right now. I don't even know if McDermott was in the lineup that night. But like having a type of guy like that in the lineup will just calm things down when things get to that point. And even you saw it when Roussel ended up going over at McAvoy when they ended up in Arizona a couple nights later. Like who's going to step in there? So now you have a couple games in a row here in this short amount of time where other teams tend to be taking liberties on star players in your lineup. So let's go back to the Colorado game. Now, for Landeskog to go up and do that, he kind of got distracted. It seemed to really throw the Avalanche off in the first two periods, where after that, they were able to go in between periods, reset, focus on the gameplay, and then make the comeback in the third period. But as far as the hit's concerned, clean in my opinion, unfortunate for McKinnon. And I didn't realize that he had a concussion. I thought he was just going to be out with the broken nose, RA. I think that he's got the 3 games off here before the All-Star break, and then he's going to get the All-Star break. And now you can miss the All-Star game and not have to face repercussion as far as getting like a 1-game suspension.
Yeah, but if you're injured, you wouldn't have had to anyways.
Correct. I was assuming just with the broken nose that they were just going to rest him, given with the success of the team, in order to give him this period of time to come back. Because we're like maybe not a skill guy, but a guy like me, regardless if I got my face caved in with a broken nose, like I would have been in the next game, broken nose or not. Right? Like, is that something you would have played with?
Me? I would have been begging for the night off. My nose hurts. I can't get this thing to stop bleeding. I mean, from the first angle of that hit, I was like, oh boy. I thought he got him right in the head. And then luckily, well, for Halsey, I guess, in terms of like supplemental discipline, you see the other angle, like, oh my God, he got him completely in the other shoulder, and the stick just hit him right in the face. It was just a brutal bounce for McKinnon. And Halsey made a great play. And in terms of the fighting, yeah, I mean, nowadays you don't have to fight if you don't want to, but I can totally understand that even if it's a completely clean hit, and say that Halsey didn't catch McKinnon's stick and still got him in the shoulder and lit him up that way, and so it was completely clean and everyone knew it, I don't mind at all if somebody from the team of a star that's hit goes right after and tries to fight a guy for a clean hit. I know everyone out there on Twitter hates hearing that. They shouldn't have to fight if they hit the guy clean. Well, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what you think, because if a guy on a superstar's team sees that said superstar crushed, he does not give two fucks how the hit was given. It's like, dude, you just knocked out or crushed one of our top players. We're going to get you now. And Biz, that's a great point. I hadn't thought about the Bruins. They have zero toughness.
Zero. And they got a couple bigger guys on the back end.
Does Forbert fight?
I was, buddy, he's my boy. I was going to say he's a guy who should start chucking him because he's one of those depth defensemen. I think that Carlos probably got a more rounded game in the National Hockey League where he's also that big frame back there. I don't know if you want him chucking him every night.
He's had the head issues too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You need a bottom six guy who's going to be willing to do it, or you need a fifth and sixth defenseman. Here's another one I got for you. I don't understand why, if it's originally a penalty and you're able to go and review it, why can't you rescind it from a 5 to it being nothing? I don't even think that was interference. McKinnon touched the puck, and then less than a split second later, Halsey ends up hitting him clean as a result of the injury from his own stick. They still end up giving him a 2-minute minor.
Did they say that they cannot do that and take it from 5 to nothing? Or are you saying that they just decided not to do that?
I don't think they can, right?
They can't. Yeah, no.
Wow.
Once they go to review, they can't wipe it out completely. They have to at least give a 2-minute penalty.
Which is so stupid to me.
Right, because it wasn't even really a penalty at the end of the day.
I didn't know that. That makes no sense.
I wonder if they'll take a look at that, because if we didn't see what we thought happened, so okay, well, why is the guy still getting a penalty? So.
Yeah, and before we move on from this game, before we move on, shout out first star of the week, or it might have been second star, Nazem Kadri right now.
Oh my God.
He's got 59 points. He's third in the league in scoring. He had 8 points in the 4 games this week, and in that game, he assisted on the last 3 goals. So, I mean, you're looking at a guy, this is why this team's so good. They have his depth, and the big question mark going in, everyone will ask, is can he just stay in the lineup when the playoffs start? Because if he can, I do not know if anyone can beat this team.
So I'm a bit of a donkey here. So McDermott was in the lineup. He ended up scoring his first goal of the year. He scored the first one for the Avs. Their back end and their production. I know we're getting away from that the hit, but let's stick with Colorado. I think Cale Makar, third or fourth youngest defenseman to hit the 100 assist mark. So this kid continues to set records and become one of the breakthrough defensemen of this era in the National Hockey League. So very impressive. And as far as the game was concerned, we saw it ramp up in the third, and that tying goal, the play that Kadri made, he's 2 points off of his career high of 61 right now. And I think that they haven't even played their halfway mark yet. So if he stays healthy, he's going to be well over 100 points. And I would assume probably the most sought-after free agent in the offseason. Now,
really?
Oh, you think? I would say if he gets over 100 points, somebody's going to have to pay him 7 years, $9 million. Maybe
Who would you rather have, him or Philippe Forsberg?
I mean,
it's a tough one.
That's a very good question right now. Let me get back to you after playoffs.
Fair enough.
If he can keep it on the rail. Hey, listen, 17 straight home wins for the Colorado Avalanche. They've been on an insane run, but we'll keep harping on it. they're not going to get judged till April and May, folks. This is all just sunshines and rainbows right now. It doesn't matter what's going to go on. And they could end up drawing Edmonton or Calgary in the first round, who we both know are going to be a very difficult matchup, especially the way that the Edmonton Oilers are playing right now.
Biz, just to your point, Trent Frederick and Nick Foligno, those are two guys you might have expected to jump in that spot. Neither guy was in the lineup that night, so that's probably another reason. But yeah, chasing all around all night almost did cost the Avs because Erik Johnson took that cross-check penalty, as the ref said 3 times as he was announcing the penalty. But hell of a comeback, Landeskog with the game tire and Macau at the winner. So a very entertaining game, and would love to see those two later in the playoffs.
I love Johnson after the 4th cross check. Finally, the whistle goes and he turns around and he's like, "What?" It's like, buddy, you got like fucking Halsey pissing blood in the corner. What do you mean, what? You just took out his kidney, for fuck's sakes. Like, Whit, did you see that sequence?
Yes, I did.
Like, how could you possibly do that and then turn around and have your arms out like that, like you didn't do anything? Like, was there no oxygen going to his brain?
Erik Johnson asked me 500 times at the Olympics, "Are you wearing a thong?" So I got no idea when it comes to that kid. He makes no sense to me. I also had the Bruins in regulation plus 280. Oh, it was such a bad beat.
Yeah, that's a bad beat. Well, anyways, we want to say get well to our pal, the Nate Dogg. We hated seeing him down and bloody like that, but he's a warrior. I'm sure he's going to be back out there soon. We're going to miss him in Vegas this week as well. So, all right, moving right along, the Edmonton Oilers went out and signed Evander Kane, and I got to give full props to Tim Peel, former referee. He was on the scoop very early, broke the story a while back. He signed a 1-year. He basically got the Buffalo base, Biz, $750K with the $625,000 sign-in bonus. The cap hit is $2.1 million because basically at the time it was signed. He does have a full no-move clause. And also Kane, he's only one of 7 players to score 20-plus goals in each of the last 6 seasons, going back to 2015-16. Then the press conference, do you guys see that clip? Ken Holland kind of looks over. He says, "I think you're going to play tomorrow night, huh?" "Yeah, that's the plan." And Kane's like, "I'm ready to go." And then Tip's face, like, I was like, "Oh, this needs the Curb Your Enthusiasm music." And it was already there. Some Twitter come right away. And it was just kind of like, the GM sort of made the decision that that's not typical. I mean, a GM doesn't usually dictate a lineup in that order, especially in a presser.
It was probably just something that he said, and then afterward was like, "Oh, shit, I fucked up." And seeing Tip's reaction was pretty funny. But I'll tell you what, man, like, one, I was surprised because I was hearing from some people that there was potential that he was going to get suspended for the rest of the season because of the situation of him crossing the border after being diagnosed with COVID. Guys, like, I don't really care to get into that. Like, there's going to be people who think that he should have been suspended and maybe shouldn't be getting a 3rd, 4th, or 5th chance. I don't really know what number we're on at this point, Whit. You might be able to keep me more on track as far as the number of times where there have been incidences with him in the past. But for the Edmonton Oilers, there's obviously some desperation there. We talk about constantly how hard it is to get free agents to sign there, and they get the opportunity to add a 30-goal scorer to their lineup, and a guy who, under the gun last year of what he was going through, was able to perform in one of his best seasons so far in the National Hockey League. So bringing him over is going to help that lineup, and it just adds way more depth. I think that they were willing to accept the criticism, and worst case Ontario, if he starts stirring things up, maybe like he has in the past in past locker rooms, and we can get to the stuff that was going on with San Jose and what was said by some of their guys and some of the things that he ended up mentioning in his press conference, then big deal. They put him on waivers. He either gets claimed or he can go down, or they just send him. Why are you laughing, all right?
I don't know if anyone else caught you. You just said worst case Ontario.
Yeah, it's a Rickyism from Trailer Park Boys.
That's all. It's great. I'm carry on.
Yeah. That's stolen valor right there. Sorry, Ricky and Bubbles. But I just see it as a no risk situation. And sure as shit, he goes out in his first game with the Edmonton Oilers and pots the first goal. So it's I would say that if they don't have any type of success in playoffs, Tip's probably gone. I don't know how much longer Ken Holland's going to be going, but I would say a lot of their future depends on what happens with the rest of the year here, Whit.
Yeah. And looking back, I mean, now I know why I could never be a part of a front office or a coaching staff, and I'm one of the co-hosts, and I make no sense half the time on a hockey podcast, because I said I'd stay away from him. And I think at the time, mainly it was because of the ongoing second report of the the entrance into Canada and how he did it and that whole drama that the league had started the new investigation on. And I just said, stay away. Well, it turns out, talking to some people around the league, there was like 8 teams like immediately in the mix.
Yep.
And so it just shows, hate to break it to all you people who don't know life's like this. If you're great at what you do, people will look past some of the warts you may have, and you will be able to continue to do what you do as long as you perform. So a player like this who gets the chance to add to a team without that team giving up anything, who goes on the market, is immediately going to be wanted. Now, I actually do agree with you, Biz. It's kind of like a no-risk move because of how desperate and because of how bad things have been in Edmonton. Although we're going now, we're humming now. We beat. I mean, let's be truthful. We've beat some pretty bad teams, including what may go down as the worst team in NHL history this year, the Montreal Canadiens. What a pathetic bunch! They whooped on them. So it's one game. He's got 1 goal, but they had to do something, and they didn't have to trade anyone, and they didn't have to go through any sort of like, how do I put this, drama, because like it doesn't matter. All the guys on the team, while dealing with a couple of questions from the media, you saw the McDavid press conference, like they don't care. It's all Zoom, and right now it's like we added a good player. So you would think with the money situation in Kane's life and how up and down his entire career's been, he's going to be on his best behavior. And so when you can add a guy who could really change your lineup to a team that has to make the playoffs, it really did make sense. I'm kind of curious as to why he chose Edmonton if he did have a lot of other options, which it sounds like he did.
They were able to offer the most.
Oh, he did get the most from them? Okay.
Yeah, because they were able to throw in that signing bonus. I think that most teams that were interested were willing to give him, I think, $750 was the number. So obviously money played a factor. And of course, like, where are you going to go where you're going to be put in a situation where he's probably told, hey, we're going to put you on McDavid's line and have a big year, and he goes back to free agency in the offseason. Now, and also like your risk as far as taking him on. And I've never played with Kane. I've golfed with him one time. One-on-one, he's fine. I don't know. Like I didn't reach out to anybody from San Jose. I didn't reach out to anybody from Winnipeg nor Buffalo. It seems as if though him and Eichel got along when he was in Buffalo. Like there was really nothing negative that he was able to say about him. But it's undeniable that he overstays his welcome. And then even with the comments where I think a few people like off the record in San Jose were just fed up of everything that was going on there. And I mean, maybe a couple of them were pissed off that they weren't getting paid back from some of the money that they'd lent them. I don't know. But, you know, they weren't crazy about having him on the team. And then he made a comment, RA, and I don't know if you have it in front of you, the exact quote, but I'm paraphrasing here. He's basically like, well, that's bad leadership at the fact that got out of the locker room.
That was hilarious.
So I mean, ultimate fucking spin zone. And let me put my fucking tinfoil hat to move even further. Maybe the Oilers picked him up because they were having so much drama around the organization where they're like, hey, if we bring him in, he's going to get all the focus and we're all cool. I mean, you know, it was a bit of a shitstorm there for about, 3 weeks? We had to the point where we had Stopper on having to fucking back the organization up. And, hey, he's right. He knew they were going to get back on track, and he called it. 4 in a row now.
And to your point about the travel, the COVID shit, the league did investigate, and they actually released a statement earlier in the day saying that there was insufficient evidence to conclusively find that he knowingly made misrepresentations regarding the status or test results in connection, so they wouldn't pursue additional discipline. That was the last step.
I think his comment, too, on that one was, well, I didn't get caught, so I'm not guilty. This guy is a fucking quote machine.
Oh yeah, dude. They were interviewing like the what are those people called who let you into the country?
Border agents.
Yeah, they like interviewed the guy that like let him in and talked to him. They looked at the video camera, like they had the supplemental discipline camera going on. It was they went all in, so they were looking to find something, and then obviously it just couldn't be proved. Couldn't be proven that he knew what he was doing, but there's something fishy going on there. But if he gets 20 in the last, 40 games, I'll buy his jersey.
I would say the only public interaction that we've heard about is when Dustin Byfuglien through his tracksuit in the shower.
And that was early on in his career, too.
That was a little bit earlier, but like as I mentioned, man, I just really haven't talked to anybody in depth about like how they felt about him as a teammate. But when you're creating enough headaches off the ice, sometimes it does tend to wear on the group, and here we are, Edmonton Oiler, Evander Kane.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. It's the 4th straight 30-goal season for Leon Draisaitl, just the 6th Edmonton Oiler to do so. And earlier in the week, did you see McDusty's shootout winner over Saros? I sent the link in the outline.
So good.
Fuck. I mean, Saros, I worship the guy, but I bet him every game he's out there. He's been unbelievable. He was spectacular that game, and then to get beaten the manner he did. I mean, I'm sure we tweeted it out, but just an unreal highlight. But all done with Edmonton. Any final notes, boys, before we move along?
I don't know what their schedule is here moving forward. And guys, we've talked a lot about the Oilers, I'd say the last 4 pods, but they've been one of the main topics of the league with their losing streak, with now they're on a bit of a heater with their start to the season. So we'll be able to put them on the back burner here unless something else crazy happens.
Random little quick question. Just give quick answers.
Yeah.
How many of the 32 organizations do you think have never won a Stanley Cup?
16.
All right, quick. All right.
That's 11.
17.
Gee, money. 11 teams have never won the Stanley Cup. I thought it would have been more too, but yeah. So you look at some of those teams, why are we going to talk about them? The best part is one of them's Vancouver.
Oh, they never won a cup? I didn't know that. So, Buffalo Sabres, we'll be talking about them earlier in the show this week. Not for anything good, but their goaltender, Aaron Dell, just absolutely fucking gooned Ottawa forward Drake Batherson out of nowhere. Guy's skating in on a forecheck, not expecting anything. And Dell just fucking kind of shoulders him, sort of people's elbows him fucking right into the boards. Just like dirty, useless hit. Don't know why he did it. He ends up getting a 3-game suspension. Dell said, I was just trying to buy some time for my defenseman and step into his lane. I hope he's all right. I wasn't trying to hurt anybody. Well, Batherson ended up with a high ankle sprain. He's going to be out at least 2 months. He can't go in the All-Star game. He's supposed to be there this week. Going to miss it because of the injury. Brady Tkachuk's going to step in for him. And then the whole Buffalo goalie situation. They've used 6 goalies already. Michael Hauser was supposed to start the other night. He had to go into the COVID protocol, but then Craig Anderson got healthy. So they started 40-year-old Craig Anderson. The 6 different goalies they've used. But back to that hit, I mean, Piz, like, what's he thinking there, man? I love dirty goalies from the old school, but like that was such a dangerous hit, the way the guy was coming in so close to the boards.
Yeah, and obviously Batherson not expecting it. The worst is when you see the skate blade get caught in the boards and then the way it twisted. I thought he broke his ankle. I think that if goalies come out of their crease and if they want to increase scoring, make them fair fucking game. Stay in your fucking net, just like lacrosse. You want to come out of your net and play the puck? That's what I mean. They created the trapezoid area so they could play it, and they didn't want them going to the corners because you'd see guys like Brodeur or Mike Smith basically be a third defenseman and go back and grab it. Make them at least stay above the goal line, where if you put it below the goal line, they can't go there. And in this situation, I think he was kind of like right near the goal line, but just a gutless move. I would have liked to have seen a bit of a dust up after that.
You may think I'm exaggerating. I swear to God, I think that hit is up with Dale Hunter on Turgeon and Claude Lemieux on Chris Draper. That was a fucking scumbag move by Aaron Dell. And what he said after was actually such a joke, because if that's I don't even know, like any random goalie in the league, Tuukka Rask, I'm just trying to think of somebody and says it like, oh, I was trying to give space to my defenseman. Like, okay, possibly. Aaron Dell, like 2 weeks before that, skated 40 feet outside the zone in Nashville and ran somebody over. It's like this dude was blatantly. Did you see that clip, Biz?
No, I never saw that.
Oh, my God. YouTube it right now. YouTube it right now. And 2 weeks later, he does this to Batherson, who's having this career year. He's on the forecheck. He's not even that close to the defenseman. And out of nowhere, a goalie who can't be hit in the game decides to bury a guy who has no clue it's coming and ruins his whole season. Maybe it's because he had a high ankle sprain, and that was the beginning of the Whit Dog's end, is the high ankle sprain. I never recovered, so I'm very sensitive to the fact. But are you fucking serious? A goaltender? You're sitting there and you just bury this guy for no reason? And when he said, I was just trying to create some space for my defenseman, it's like, no, you weren't, dude, because you'd already proven that you've been hitting guys this season. Go look at the clip I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure it was in Nashville. So
Grinelli's going to pull it up along with these other stats that he sent me over Cale Makar.
Oh, just a dirtbag hit. I feel bad for Baston. He didn't deserve
Senators
that.
fans are some of the most ruthless online. So they've created this term, getting sensed. And all of a sudden, Arundel got put on waivers a few days later, so they were just all over him on the Twitter machine. Some of the other stats, though, I was going to ask you guys a question. Who are the other three guys ahead of Cale Makar who were the fastest defensemen to 100 career assists?
I mean, number 4.
No.
I'm going to go Paul Coffey.
No. It's actually, that's why I asked you guys, because it's such a bizarre list.
Larry Murphy.
You might not get one name of the three guys before Cale Makar.
Larry Murphy?
Nope.
What? Lidstrom? I mean, if you're saying we might not get one name, then I don't know what we could be here all night.
Off. Sergei Zubov. With the New York
number
Rangers.
Retired. Great call.
Games played 127. The next one, Mark Howe with Hartford. April 1st, 1981, 135 games. And Stefan Persson.
What?
The Islanders in March 22nd, 17, Jesus Christ, going back to the medieval times. March 22nd, 1979, and that was in 135 games also. And Makar did it January 30th, 2022 with 140 games. So a lot of these names that you guys mentioned below, McInnes was next in line, Larry Murphy, Adam Fox, Quinn Hughes, Brian Leach, and then Phil Housley. But really cool, though, you see Adam Fox, Quinn Hughes, and Cale Makar, like three guys that are on a list with these types of names that are now defensemen in the National Hockey League. So we're seeing a wave of this offensive defenseman where we're going to be seeing some very special things from guys from the back end for years to come. Yeah, I know we went back on the whole stat thing. Now, I would like to see this clip if you send it to the group chat.
Yeah, we've been pretty blessed with on that front. And Biz, I know you just said that Dell did get waived, and that the suspension obviously cost him a few bucks. And that's less money to invest in his future, Whit.
That's certainly right, R.A. And that's why I'm here to talk to you guys again about Alto. And I had this career in the NHL where I was lucky enough to make some money, but the entire time, right from the beginning, I thought about my future. I thought about putting money away, which is what everyone should do. And I know a lot of people may say they don't love how much money they're making at the time, and they need most of what they're making to live. Well, I'd do whatever you can to save a little bit, and that's where Alto comes in. There are a lot of options out there in terms of investing your money for retirement, but there's none better than Alto. If you're like me and you don't just want the boring stocks and all that, which can be good, but you want to get, a little bit more in your retirement portfolio, maybe some crypto or artwork or some startup companies, it's always a great way to spread some money out. Alto's where you go. Alto lets you invest in crypto, real estate, artwork, startups, and more. And the best part is that it's tax advantage and can even be tax-free depending on the situation. So if you're playing in the Chiclets Cup, who Alto's also sponsoring, shout out Alto for getting involved with us. A great, great move by them, and we appreciate it. So if you're playing in the Chiclets Cup or not, make sure to sign up at altoira.com/chiclets so you can claim your prize if you win. If you're not playing in the Chiclets Cup, like I said, that's okay. Sign up and start an account for as little as $10. Go to altoira.com/chiclets and you can get started for just $10. That's altoira.com/chiclets. Prepare for your future now. Get involved with Alto and set yourself up for an enjoyable back nine of your life.
Yeah, and boys, actually, Alto, we talked to them today. They are going to be giving $500. If you start an Alto account at the Chiclets Cup, they're going to be putting $500 in that account if you're the MVP of your division. Never done that before.
Wow.
Alto coming on. They're the best.
Alto's coming in with authority.
Fucking Arundel should sign up, save himself some money for that suspension fine. Now, I took a look at this video. And he full-fledged jumps into this guy.
Buddy.
And
2 weeks later, he does it to Batherson. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah. You're not a player, bro. Stop the puck. Stay in your crease.
Arundel to the Goon Squad confirmed. Holy shit.
He'd probably dummy me off the ice, too. I might have to keep my head up.
I might call him and see if he wants to join us at Chiclets Cup if he's going to bring that type of fucking flair.
You bring him on your team?
All right, boys, moving right along. Another big story from the last week, and our boy Whit was there to witness it. His pal Keith Yandel broke a 35-year-old Ironman record on Long Island Tuesday night, playing in his 965th straight game, almost 13 years without missing a regular season game. Hell of a feat when you think of all his injuries, the COVID bullshit, all that stuff. Whit, we had boots on the ground. You were there. What was the night like?
Oh, it was an amazing experience. I first off want to thank Frankie Borelli and his dad, who kept Borelli's open late night for all of us. And unfortunately, the Flyers had to take off after the game. It was their 13th straight loss, so I don't think there was any wiggle room for asking if they could maybe stick around to hang with all the family. But we had such a great night, and the Flyers got out to a lead. But no matter what, the game really wasn't the reason we were there. It was the outcome, I should say. It was more about Keith and honoring him for what he's done. I got to drive up there with Billy Ryan. I've mentioned him before. He works for the Panthers, and our boy, the prankster Foles, Fairway Foles on Instagram. Check out his content. So we're driving up. We had a blast. Stopped at Colony Grill. Shout out. I think there's 5 or 6 of them on 95. Chris Drury's a part owner. Maybe the best pizza out there. It's a pizza, salads, and beer. So a great spot. We stopped there, had lunch, and we shared different Keith stories and just had a blast. And then going to the game. He had his uncles there, his aunts, his nieces, nephews, his brother, his sister. Mike Motto joined us. He was there. The Rink Shrinks, Brian Yandel and Motts were there. And it was just such a great night because as we're watching Keith and we're seeing him during the anthem, even during warm-ups, you saw Zdeno Chara came over to him. And Keith was down there stretching. He tapped him on the pads. And, Keith stood up. And, Chara almost gave him a little bit of a hug for certain, hey, congratulations. This is an all-time NHL record. The fact that you're doing this, as we all told him or tried to tell him, Keith's so bad at taking compliments. He's such a humble guy. It's just, I can't believe he did it. I cannot believe that this kid with the way his career began and not exactly training, being on the forefront, he turned into a professional animal. He took his career so serious. He treated everyone with respect, and he hasn't missed a friggin' game. We got a buddy Oki. This guy, he was going to come to the game. He got sick. He couldn't come. He couldn't make one game. Keith's made 965. Our buddy Jay Driscoll called Oki the anti-Iron Man, which I got a kick out of. So I was having a great time just basically talking to Buddy Yandel and his mom Patty and just going over different memories and things that happened along the way. And for him to be able to go to Philly, and certainly the year's been a struggle for everyone, but for him to be able to get it done there. And listen, there was times when, Keith said he struggled a little bit, so they honored him and they knew that he was a part of this. There was going to be no way he wasn't going to be in the lineup as the rumors were kind of beginning to swirl in Florida last year. So I was just so proud of him. But Foley, I mean, let's get to Foley. This guy was MVP of the night. First off, this new arena, the UBS Arena, I really loved it. It was a great building because it's old school a little bit. The way the arena's set up, it's not enormous, but it's so new and nice while also having an old school feel, like a really new age Joe Louis Arena, I tried to describe a little bit, but I loved it. Wow. And the only thing is, dude, this thing, it might be in the worst location. It might be worse than Glendale location. It's it's in the middle of nowhere. It's like, all it is like major highways, just like all around the arena. So it's such a gong show. As we're getting out, we don't know where the Ubers come. We're trying to figure everything out. We probably had 35 people with all Keith's family and everything and all the kids. And so we all finally, it was 8 degrees. We all finally find where the Uber is. I turn around. I'm like, Foles, we all got out of the arena and took a right. This goon took a left. He was like a mile away from us. We had to wait for that clown. And then we get back and we go to Borelli's. We get back to the hotel. So we're just having late night. We're hot stove. And Foles goes downstairs to get a snack and he just disappeared. So I'm like, oh, he's done. He went to sleep. He just did the old Irish exit. Well, next thing you know, our boy Billy Ryan's getting a phone call. It's Foles. He's like panicking. You got to come down and help me. I think the burglar fell asleep down there because when he woke up, there was about 6 police officers standing over him like, sir, you need to get out of here. He's like, I have a room here. I have a room. Billy Ryan comes down to go get him. And as they're walking away from the cops, I guess the guy at the front desk goes, he was eating all the snacks. He owes us money for the snack bar. So it was a scene, and Foles came up. He told us, I think I just almost got arrested. I don't know what the hell happened. But we had a blast. I sent Keith and Hazy some videos from us in the room, and it was just it was an awesome experience to see a lifelong friend, somebody who I truly consider like family, the Yandles, to see him break an NHL record. I'll never forget that. I'm so happy for him. Congrats, Keith.
Was there a story that like Foles or one of the guys brought up that you completely forgot about, that you're able to share, that you were just in tears about one thing that Keith did along the way? Because he was a little rascal when he was younger. Like, he was uncontrollable, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was like, dude, good luck trying to. I mean, he charged the pitcher. He charged the pitcher's mound in Little League. Or no, it might have been like before Little League. He got pegged and charged the mound. He also hopped in on his dad when his dad was coaching, I think, Canton High. Keith was like the stick boy, and all of a sudden in the middle of a brawl on the ice, like swinging his stick around. So there's a million different things. I'm kind of drawing a blank, but just comedy.
I don't know if it was his rookie year, but one of those like team photos, it looks like an absolute mugshot where he's got the whiffle. He's still got like a baby face. It looked like he got arrested the night before or something. Absolutely hysterical.
Oh, he was a big dude. About? He was a fatty at one point.
He was, so when he first got to Phoenix, like Ulf Samuelsson he was getting healthy scratch and he was getting bag skated. And then all of a sudden it just clicked. And, in my tenure with the Coyotes, and when you say tenure, is it just like the time period you were on the team? Because it sounds like 10 years.
Yeah, tenure.
Doesn't have to be 10 years?
No, 10 years.
I was there for 5 years. I think that he won the most in shape guy every single year at camp. Now, did he train with you in the summertime, Whit?
Yeah, he did.
What happened to you?
I don't know, dude. Oh, I was a beast. I was a beast in the wind stuff. What's that called when you get the
Wingate?
No, not even that. Like in
the VO2.
Yes, I was good at that stuff. We trained hard. Keith was just a machine, though. He could just skate all day.
Did I see Uncle Paul in one of those pitches?
Paul was there. I was talking about your old man. He said your old man's one of his best friends, lifelong best friend. So I get to see a bunch of Yandles I hadn't seen in quite a while.
Yeah, good stuff. PY's the best. So once again, congrats to Keith. Great accomplishment. And I'm glad you were there to see it, Whit. I know he's your boy. Let's see. Right across the river on Friday night, New York Rangers retired Henrik Lundqvist, number 30. A long pregame ceremony, well-deserved for Hank. And then to truly honor Hank, the Rangers went out and scored 2 goals that night because that's all they ever scored when he played for them. Although in their defense, it did look like they got a third one that the refs waved off immediately. But Biz, were you able to catch the whole ceremony?
Yeah, I found it fascinating. Like, you almost forget how good Lundqvist was. Like, he went a full decade time where he was either number 1 and 2 in all major goalie statistical categories. Oh my God, the fact that I got that off my tongue. I should be at a fucking banner raised. But what a ceremony. Unbelievable gifts. John McEnroe came out, an incredible ovation. Probably the hottest he's ever looked. I mean,
he just looks great every time I see the guy.
Oh, he looked stunning. They also had a ceremony, I think the night before, with his wife and his kids showed up. So it was just all class from a great organization. And then it was followed up by an awesome game in which, I don't know, it was a controversial call to New York Rangers fans, not really to me. I mean, it looked like Strome ended up jabbing the goalie's pad. Now, some people are saying, oh, he was diving on the puck. I don't know, man. I saw different angles on it, and it just looked like the momentum from him getting his pad jammed in there. And mind you, Strome had 2 cracks at it where he didn't even make contact with the puck. And I would imagine is that the original call, RA, what most people thought was that the whistle went. And then they ended up coming to the conclusion that it was also that his pad got pushed in. So whether it was blown because the ref had lost sight or because he thought that the pad was pushed in, it had been blown and he clearly pushed it in. No fucking goal, as much as you Rangers fans want to bitch. And trust me, you guys bitched online all night long.
And did you see the clip when they had Hank in the booth and they're like, oh, there's your buddy Zook, and he's like, yeah, just don't let him score. And then literally right then he fucking scored as if on cue. Oh. Absolutely hilarious clip. Gee, do you want to roll that one in case anyone missed it out there?
Forward to as well. Here's your buddy Zook.
Yeah, don't let that guy score.
Oh my God!
Did I just say that?
I mean, like, It's like when they flash during a football game. He hasn't missed a field goal in 722 tries, and then he goes out and shanks it, just like the time was perfect. But either way, Hank, absolute legend, well-deserved. Whit, I don't know if you want to chime in on.
Yeah, I sniped my first in the NHL on him, so that probably should have got him.
Nice.
He probably shouldn't have got the banner because of that. But I was reading an article in The Athletic, actually about him and Zubov, different articles, obviously. But Arthur Staple wrote this one where he talked to a bunch of different backups of Hanks along the way. He talked to Kevin Weeks, Steve Valiquette. I think Talbot was in there. Ranta had some stories. It's a pretty good article if you want to go check it out. It's kind of untold stories about Hank. The one that cracked me up was they're talking about how he always looked good. He never had sweatpants on and things like that. And Valiquette says one of the years there, they started the year in Prague against Tampa, but they went to Switzerland first and they played Omsk in an exhibition game. And the league or the team had given them Reebok or Adidas like tracksuits that they wanted them to wear the whole time they were over there. So Hank had it on, like, you know, going to the game, the exhibition game. He's like, this is I hate this. I need to feel good. I need to feel my suit. I need to be. I don't like this, Steve. And so he goes out. I guess he played brutal. And so they go to Prague, and then all of a sudden all the boys get on the bus with all their tracksuits on, and he's in this dapper 3-piece suit. He's like, nope, I ain't wearing that thing, and went out and gave up 1 goal in both games, and they won them both.
No.
Yeah, so he's like, fuck that. He always talked about like looking good, feeling good, playing good. And Weeksy had a pretty good thing on there too that mentioned he's got like, you know, he's the perfect looking guy. He's got these beautiful kids, beautiful wife, so much money, well dressed, but he was like an assassin. Like there's, you know, this guy would go to the rink and all it was work. He did not care about anything else besides outworking everyone. And the career he had was outstanding. I mean, Olympic gold medal, Vezina, went to the Cup final, just an all-time great, a Hall of Famer, and congratulations to him. Pretty sick to have your number raised in MSG.
And I know it's been told on the podcast before, but one of those stats was the shutouts that he'd had in that 10-year period, and how he would always do the wine club. So he would incentivize his players where he would buy nice wine, and if he got a shutout, he would do a little lottery on the plane where he'd cut up all the names, and then the stewardess would come pick it out of the hat, and then he'd call the name, and they'd get a nice bottle of wine. So not only an unbelievable player with a great work ethic, but also a great teammate who used to take care of the boys.
And he wasn't the only player who had his number go to the rafters that night. Down in Dallas, they retired Sergei Zubov's number 56, one of the best defensemen of his era that perhaps maybe doesn't get as much publicity as other guys, maybe because he was a quiet guy or whatever. He played 12 seasons there from 96 to 09. 549 points in 839 games. Of course, he won a cup with Dallas in 99, and he did one previously with the Rangers in 94. The first and last star to wear number 56. Thought that was a unique fact. But Biz, I'm sorry, Whit, let's go to you. You kind of played a similar type of game. Zubov, dynamite player,
buddy.
Maybe
yeah,
like
no,
you
let's
said.
hear it, Whit.
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
are pretty similar going up the ice.
Me and Zubov's like comparing
they were
Dan Orlovsky to Tom Brady. It's like, what are we talking?
Lamborghini to a Prius.
Yeah, no, Lamborghini to a fucking 10-speed bike. I think that Zubov was so smooth and silky that he just made it look so easy without being the fastest skater in the world. He just made people miss. Also in The Athletic, I just mentioned that this article is written by Sad Yusuf. I hope I'm saying that correctly. But it talks about just his time in Dallas. And interestingly enough, when he got to New York, he was given number 21. And so he lit it up there. He actually led the team in scoring in the regular season the year they won the Stanley Cup. So it just shows. I mean, this guy and Brian Leetch. I'll also have you go look at Game 7 when they beat Vancouver. Zubov to Leetch, D to D for a goal in that game. They were down beneath the hash marks in the offensive zone going D to D. Just a sick pass by Zubov. I loved watching him. Then he went over to Pittsburgh, and I think he broke his finger, it says in the article, and he comes back and he breaks his finger again. So he switched his number. Right? He was 3. He was 3 in Pittsburgh, and so he switched it, and he just went to 56. So he goes to 56, and he goes to Dallas, and he just took off. And the crazy story about how he ended up in Dallas was the owner at the time, whose name was Tom Hicks, he was on vacation or on a work trip, like near Russia, apparently, like near the Black Sea, where I lived on the Black Sea. Shout out Sochi. And the GM was Bob Gainey, and the president was Jim Lights, and they couldn't get in touch with him, and he needed to sign off on all trades. They were going to trade Kevin Hatcher for Sergei Zubov, Pittsburgh, Dallas. And without his approval, they went against it. They said, we can't get in touch with him, but we cannot lose out on this guy. They said yes no matter what. And what a decision it was, because he went on to become the best defenseman in Stars history. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame at some point, correct? Yeah. Is he already in the Hall of Fame?
I don't believe so.
Like, let's talk about this. How is Sergei Zubov not in the Hall of Fame? When did he retire?
Because he's Russian, and we know how they
I mean, this guy had
Canadian.
Him and Miguel.
You know what? 771 points in 1,068 games, but 117 points in 164 playoff games. I think Sergei Zubov's a Hall of Famer. I might be a little lackadaisical on the Hall of Fame, but what a player!
He was. It says here he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2019.
He is a Hall of Famer. Holy shit! I was gonna say.
Well, here we go.
We're pathetic
arguing with
sometimes.
yourself.
Holy shit, he was the head coach of Sochi the last 3 years.
I don't know if I mentioned this, but the quickest defenseman in NHL history to get to 100 assists.
Yep, you did. And Mark Howe, and I don't even remember the other guy, and you just told me his name. Slava Pearson.
He went in 2019 with Rutherford, Big Ned, Vlachov, Nedemansky, Guy Carbonneau, Jerry York.
Well, that makes me feel better.
That was in, yeah. Well, that's why I said we'll double check. But
that was a sneaky Hall of Fame induction right there. That's like what's his name? Was it Brock Nelson you were surprised by, or
no,
Josh Bailey?
No, Bailey. When I thought
games?
he had 300 games and he had 850.
I guess we can move on, but congrats to Henrik Lundqvist. And I felt, because obviously, Lundqvist and it being NYC, it kind of overshadowed maybe Zubov's jersey retirement in Dallas. But there was a really cool clip that Dallas put on their social media on Twitter of kind of going through his tenure there. That's not just 10 years. That's the entire time, by the way. So go check that out. I think it's about 4 or 5 minutes long.
All right, gang, there's a little bit of Canadian kindness in every sip of Labatt Blue Light. How did it get in there? They're Canadian, that's how. You can spread the love yourself by sharing a Labatt. When you share a Labatt, you're not just sharing a beer, you're sharing an experience that'll pair with anything from hockey to a hoedown. So next time you're watching hockey with your buds, be sure to share a Labatt. Because while you might not all root for the same team, you can all enjoy Labatt Blue Light. We're going to be working all season long with Labatt. We got tons of exciting content coming up, so be sure to grab some blue lights and enjoy while you're watching the game. All right, moving right along, we got another milestone to note. Drew Doughty played in his 1,000th NHL game Thursday versus the Islanders. He's the 18th player from Canada's gold medal winning team in the 2010 Olympics to skate in 1,000 games, just to further illustrate how good that team was. He's in his 14th year as a King. The same night, Quentin Byfield got his first NHL goal, and also on the same night, Brett Sutter played his 1,000th pro game for the Ontario Reign, where he's been for the last 7 seasons. So congrats to him as well. I'm guessing you played with him a bit.
Oh yeah, he's a beauty, great guy. I was so happy. I didn't realize he was catching up on that. So. Good for him. I mean, just like the longevity and going back to LA, man, they're not going away. They got this new kid, Moore. Have you seen him play at all, Whit? He's starting to come along, becoming like a household name out of nowhere. So
Trevor Moore?
I tell you what, yeah, same kid. I think, you said he went to the University of Denver?
Correct, with our guest today.
Oh, a little teaser for who's coming up. So, as far as Doughty's concerned, we knew he was going to get to 1,000 game. Still playing at an elite level. And that team looking dangerous, man. That Pacific's a wild, wild division.
Absolutely. And I guess Troy Terry of the Anaheim Ducks, we're going to get to him a little shortly, but we got a few more stories to get to first. A couple of signings happened, a few extensions. Minnesota extended forward Jordan Greenway, 3-year, $9 million extension. The 24-year-old is in his 5th season with the Wild. Vegas signed veteran defenseman Braden McNabb to a 3-year, $8.55 million extension. Comes out to $2.85 million a year. The big defenseman, he's been a fixture since the team started. He's played 314 games for Vegas, the second most. Averages 19 minutes, 44 seconds of ice per game. This guy just eats minutes. One of those guys might not put up huge stats, but you win with guys like him. Also, Ottawa signed Nick Holden to a 1-year contract extension worth $1.3 million. This kid was undrafted. He's already got 600 games played, regular season and playoffs combined. In Pittsburgh, extended Jeff Carter. The 37-year-old signed a 2-year extension worth $6.25 million. Comes with a no-move clause. He's in the last year of his 11-year, $58 million deal he signed with Philly way back in November of 2010. If you're keeping score, Biz, I know you are. That's $72.3 million for his career thus far. He's having a nice year for a 37-year-old. He's got 12 goals, 14 assists in 36 games. And sticking with the Pens for a sec, Hextall said that Malkin, Letang, and Rust remaining with the team is his top priority. And Malkin says he wants to play for 3 to 4 more years, so we'll keep tabs on that. But Friday night, man, we got a nice little battle. Detroit versus Pittsburgh. And Mo's side, on Marit's side of this rookie, man, like there's respect.
He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck.
There's respect in your veterans, but there's also, hey, this is the NHL. We're playing hockey. And he was up in Sid's grill all night, all over him. He just treated Sid like any old schmo out there. He really seemed to get under his skin.
You know what I'm seeing here? I'm seeing the next Chris Pronger.
Ooh.
Dude, 5 games into his NHL career, he's taken the puck off Hedman. He has... When I say he has no respect for his opponents, it's not in a negative way. It's like, I'm out here to compete against you. I don't care if you're my fellow countryman. I don't care if you've played 1,000 games this league. I don't care if you're a future Hall of Famer. I'm here to compete. I'm here to fucking be my own player, and I'm here to be the next guy getting his fucking banner raised. So every time you watch this guy play, he just continues to kind of just surprise you where you're like, oh my goodness, this guy... And I hate, I guess I was going to say I hate it. I kind of love it comparing guys to other guys. Would you not say that there's a lot of similarities in what we've seen so far out of this guy?
Yeah, I don't know how mean he is because Pronger was just so mean. But in terms of the size and how he's kind of dominating games without being the fastest player, I will say, too, I think that I shouldn't say, that made it sound like he's not a good skater. He's a great skater. He actually is one of those guys, like Jordan Staal a little bit, where on TV you don't realize how fast they're going. They don't look like they're going that fast. And you just you see him kind of just like buzzing by guys. But 29 points in his first 45 games in the NHL on a team that's definitely overachieved this year to stay. I mean, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they could finish 9th in the Eastern Conference. And the way he's played with Raymond, it's like the future's so bright in Detroit. They have some sick prospects with him. You know, that is a guy. With you say Pronger, it's like you have the horse. You have that number one defenseman, and that's kind of what Pronger, wherever he went, he was. So I know what you're saying. He dominates games with and without the puck, and I think he respects, from what I'm told, he respects guys off the ice, but on the ice, it's like, no, fuck you, like you said.
Well, I'd say your biggest concern is when you get this offensive big defenseman, if he turns out to be a little bit soft, it's kind of like, wow, it's kind of a waste of size. I mean, it's nice to have stick on puck, but to be the guy in front of the net who's going to box you out and give you that little cross check, kind of like how Johnson did, he's going to have opponents pissing blood in no time.
Another Penguin we've talked about in the show, Jake Guentzel, and we've always said this kid's a player regardless of who is on his line. Well, he's the fastest to reach 300 points out of the 2013 draft class. Took him 338 games, which beat McKinnon, Barkov, Monahan, and Horvat. So just gives you an idea, some perspective on how good this kid is. Again, I know he plays with Sid a lot, but we've seen him without Sid enough to know this kid's a bona fide stud. So I thought that was an interesting stat.
Yeah, the stat, I will say the
apparently.
stat's a little misleading because Barkov and McKinnon were playing at 18, but it is still it's unreal hockey that you see Guentzel playing, and he's a little older as he came into the league, but he's just such a natural goal scorer. If he gets it in an area to shoot, it's like if he doesn't get a goal, the goalie's forced to make a great save. He's just so nifty with the puck in certain areas and great at getting open for Sid. So I love watching him play.
And that all goes back to development too, R.A. Like Pittsburgh, I would say Wilkes-Barre, definitely top 5, at least over the last 25 years of how they develop players. I think they've been around probably 20. Now, was Guentzel a first rounder?
I don't think so. Was he, R.A.?
So another diamond in the rough for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I don't know off the top.
I'll check.
And then they
got it right here.
You mentioned them keeping Rust.
Third round, 77th overall.
Oh my
Jake Guentzel.
goodness!
What a pick that is!
What a steal! Give that scout a raise.
Biz, this next story is from your neck of the woods, and the Coyotes once again in the news. And by all accounts, it sounds like they're going to be playing next season at Arizona State University using their facilities. This is per Craig Morgan of the Go. I think it's Go Phoenix is the website, GOPHNX. He's obviously been reporting on the stuff quite a bit. He's pretty wired in. I mean, it almost sounds like a joke when you read this. It's an NHL team They're going to play in a college arena that only holds 5,000 people. Now, because of NCAA compliance issues, the Coyotes can't use the college locker room, so they have to build their own team areas. The estimated cost between $15 and $20 million. They also need to work around Arizona State's schedule. Of course, a lot of their games are on Friday and Saturday nights. But making an NHL team play in a college barn that holds 5,000 people, it's just such a bad look for the league, man. It's like, I feel bad for the guys on the team, dude. Like, you're in the NHL, you get to this level, and now you're literally playing in a college stadium while you're waiting for another place to get built, which it's not even been approved yet, the one in Tempe. It's just a big old clusterfuck. I guess the only people who are probably very happy about this, Arizona State students, because it's pretty awesome to have an NHL team on your campus playing frequently.
Well, yeah, and the players just crushing college girls. Just kidding.
That too. Yeah,
I mean, dude,
too.
next week we're going to be hearing that they're playing out of the Cardinal Stadium, fucking 80,000 people. Like, every week it's something different, and people look to me for answers, but guys, I'm the fucking bagel boy. I show up 10 times a year to do the TV broadcast. I used to do the radio broadcast. As far as doing it out of ASU, you said it's 15 to 20 million to make the locker room set up. They have that Coliseum close to downtown Phoenix, which I heard that it was going to cost 15 to 20 million to do a reno on that. That seats 13,000. There's no boxes there, which might be the problem, but I was looking for more of that Coliseum vibe like they had with the Islanders. I want beers being thrown on the ice. I want it to smell like cigarettes. We need to get those hardcore fans in an environment that's hostile in order to create create that vibe. I think that if you're doing it at ASU with 5,000, I think it looks like a little bit of a clown show.
Well,
5,000 people?
It looks like a clown show, but if you're looking for silver linings in this, it'll probably be a pretty sick atmosphere. They'll be packed every night, and
I think it would be packed in the 13,000 seat arena at the Coliseum if they did the reno too, though.
Yeah, but there's got to be something that's I think I think something was like the building was too old. There was something, and all right, not to correct you,
play at Oceanside.
I think it's that the locker rooms don't meet the NHLPA and the CBA standard. I don't know if it's the NCAA. It's more about the NHL has to have a certain amount of rooms and space for gym and space for guys where it's that's the problem, not the NCAA. It's just a horrific look for the league overall. And Marchand's tweet, you can all right, say what he said.
No, we're not talking about it. No, we're not. Fuck you, Brad.
One of the local writers prompted him, because he'd been on a social media tear. He says, "Well, the only way they get 5,000 fans at their games now is if they give 4,500 away for free. So it wouldn't change much."
Son of a bitch.
Come on, Marshy. Arizona could get the first overall pick, so whether it's Shane Wright or whoever it is. It's like, oh, I'm playing in a college rink. There's bigger rinks in the O.
I will say, though, at this point, if this actually happens, like Bettman's tripled, maybe quadrupled down on this bet.
Oh, my God.
He better rig the fucking draft, and we better be getting Wright and Bedard, and if we don't, I'm going to come over the fucking top ropes, and I'm going to fucking slam dunk him with those Skechers on his feet to the point where they pop up in orbit.
I loved his quote. He's like, the Coyotes aren't going anywhere. Well, they're going to be somewhere other than Glendale, but it's going to be in the Phoenix area. It's like, yeah, they're fucking leaving. They're going to the 17th place they've been since they've been there. I don't know. They're so pot committed to this. It's crazy. Like it's like somebody has pictures of somebody where they're so committed.
I joke around about this, RA, but for how long I've been involved with the organization, I've heard like 20 different things that are going to happen, and then they don't end up happening. So I put no stock into anything that's mentioned until it actually happens. So this might also be a tactic in order to get costs lowered for them to go back to Glendale and holding out them. So I don't know.
Okay.
So they should just play at that outdoor rink at the bar in Scottsdale. What was that place we went to, Biz? That little
Cave Creek?
No, that little outdoor club at one of the hotels.
Oh, the W.
Yeah,
W. They should play at the W pool.
Play at the W pool. Freeze it over.
Let me ask you, what issues would the NHLPA or players have with this? Like if they do end up playing in this college facility, what kind of issues would the union potentially raise?
Well, they just said it, but it's kind of dumb where it's like, okay, well, then you make your practice facility well, their practice facility right now is at the Ice Den, and they have a gym in there, and they have a good practice setup. I don't know. even there, I don't think the locker rooms are like up to NHL standards. So for them to say that about the actual facility, maybe that means for away teams coming in and what they can provide. But I mean, Whit, you've been to some of the away rinks around the league. Like sometimes they have a fucking like exercise band and a couple.
I know, but we haven't played in like 10 years. I think it's different now.
Oh, is it?
I think all the away rooms are like they have to have a certain amount of space and equipment and all this stuff that, you know, they can't expect like these guys to be happy about playing unless they're young and single.
Yeah, I got to think some guys aren't going to be sad about it playing on a college campus. No.
Some guys are living on campus in the dorms. Save a couple bucks too. Why not?
Shit. All right, let's see. Moving right along. We got some all-star updates for you. Nashville defenseman Roman Josi and Washington forward Evgeny Kuznetsov, they've been added to the all-star game roster to replace Nathan McKinnon and Adam Fox. Joe Pavelski was named the captain for the Central now that Nate Dogg's out. Let's see. Other captains, Ovechkin for the Metro, Austin Matthews for the Atlantic, Connor McDavid for the Pacific. Unfortunately, there's going to be no Zdeno Chara. I know there had been speculation they might try to get him out there for the hardest shot thing or just to have him there because he's been around for so long, but that's not going to happen. And the league just announced on Monday a pair of events that are going to take place on the Strip. The Fountain Face-Off at the famous Bellagio Fountains in something called the Las Vegas NHL 21 and 22, which looks like some sort of blackjack game. I don't know if they're shooting pucks at it or what. They didn't really explain on the Instagram too much. But either way, it's pretty cool that they're going to incorporate the Strip and some of these Vegas landmarks into doing these things. Like I said, we can't wait to get out there. It's going to be wild. I know, Biz, you said what you want, a Squid Game style event or something?
I think they should keep changing it up. So I like how they're being creative. They're bringing in Manon Rhéaume, the first female to ever play net in an NHL. It was an exhibition game, but nonetheless, she's going to be there. Zegras is going to be there. You're going to name off the other two, but I think moving forward, why not get more players involved? Because I think that a lot have been trimmed off at the 3-on-3. So get more players involved and maybe do it a 2-day event where on the Friday you create all these little events where it's individual stuff where you have to compete maybe on time or individual when you're actually going, but you're competing against the other team based on time and how you can execute. And then other teams get knocked out based on performance. So maybe some teams that are some players on which teams are put on the Friday events don't qualify to move to the Saturday events. And then maybe the eventual final is in fact a 3-on-3 game or a 5-on-5 game, and however they want to do it. So I just think that moving forward, they should try to incorporate more players because everybody's like, oh, look at all these guys getting snubbed. So I figured, you could put more bodies in it. You can have them drop off after the first event. And then on Saturday, if you want to bring them back, you can kind of incorporate these different new events year over year. Like you just said that they're creating these 2 new ones. Well, man, think of how many little silly things you could do maybe like a rebound game, like after practice. Like that would be a quick one that they could compete in. Like the
puck drop from the top of the stratosphere.
That would not make any sense. Then what would you do with the puck that's being dropped? All right.
I'm just trying to enter your world here, Biz. That's
no. Do you agree that doing kind of like this like Hunger Games / Squid Game style would be something that they should incorporate in the past? Or in the future, I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been saying that. Like when we first mentioned Zegras as a special guest, I think that's a great idea. And you just mentioned Manon Rhéaume, and they're also bringing in Wyatt Russell. Of course, he's the son of Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. And Jocelyn Lamoureux Davidson, who scored the decisive shootout goal back when the U.S. women won the gold at the last Olympics. So they're going to incorporate these folks into the different events. So hey, the more the merrier, man. It does you don't have to be an all-star to take part. Just come out and have some fun and showcase the game and all the good stuff about it.
And the reason I say that is because we're in this like TikTok era. So in order to grow the game, if you're doing these individual skill things, they transform better online where attention spans are lower. And look at the effort that these guys give in the 3-on-3 anyway. Like that's why I said maybe make it like the final event where they play against each other. But most times these guys are getting rolled out there with, and they're not like they're just stick checking. Guys are
they're
lazy
so
in the back
hungover
check.
Usually too. After the skills game, they're getting after it. There's some sick parties.
But But think about what garners the most attention of people talking online. Fastest lap, like keep those types of things involved, but maybe incorporate different individual skill events, even maybe on the second day where you can kind of keep that whole theme going.
I like that. Well, I like the rebound idea, because rebound, for people who don't know, you line up 3 guys on each side of the goalie, and then there's a shooter in the slot. You shoot it on net. If you score, it's 2 points. If the goalie saves it, you then can pass, I think, once, maybe twice after each rebound, and it's basically the 6 or 7 guys versus the goalie. The way he wins or gets a point is by the puck going over the goal line or him making a save and it hitting the boards on the other side. So the way I'm describing it, it's kind of confusing, but if you've played hockey, you've probably played rebound, and it's a blast for after practice, and it's entertaining too, so that's something that could be pretty sick. Be tough for goalies, though. Like, goalies might be like, no, I'm not getting hurt playing rebound at the All-Star game.
Well, talking about viral stuff, Biz, the Michigan goal, that's something we've been hearing about, talking about for a long time. And our boy, Trevor Zegras, pulled it off versus Montreal the other night. Just another unreal highlight from this kid, and that's a perfect example of why he's going to be in Vegas. And then they talked to Torts about it, and they said, "Oh, the Canadian media is going to give you shit or whatever." Oh, they didn't say give you shit, give you grief. He's like, "Canadian media can kiss my ass," Torts said, which just fucking absolutely hilarious quote out of him. But back to Zegras. I mean, he pulled it off. It seemed like it was inevitable that this was going to happen.
And I'll say it looked like the most fluid one I've ever seen. And how he did it. And, I don't know if it was in that same game where he ended up walking like 2 or 3 other guys. He went to the backhand, didn't end up scoring. But I said it probably 6 weeks to 2 months ago. I said if he's able to pull this off after doing the alley-oop thing over the net, I think he's going to be the highest-selling jersey this year. For a kid, in his rookie year, I would say the only thing holding it back is the fact that the Ducks jerseys kind of suck. Do they not suck?
It's awful. We've said it before. If there's any team that could go with a full rebrand, like name, logo, colors, everything, it's the Ducks. When they got bought, when Disney sold them, that was the opportunity to do it, and they didn't. And plus, number 46, that's kind of a tough number too, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think they care about the numbers in terms of when it's just the player's last name. That happening in an empty building, by the way, was a disgrace.
It's a joke.
When does Canada have fans again? Does anyone know?
I don't know, but even why don't you roll the clip of Matthews kind of throwing shade too?
Go out to the next shift, have a good shift. On the following play, and trying to obviously turn around the momentum. Try to feed off the atmosphere a little bit.
So right there, guys, just a little subtle chirp at the end, talking about the atmosphere. Matthews is just perfect at just making it be known for everyone out there who's not sure. These players are disgusted. They're pissed off, they're annoyed, and they're disgusted that right now in Canada, there's empty buildings. We've talked about this. We don't have to go into it, but enough is enough, because and I don't know if the building would have been full in Montreal, considering how bad they are, but it would have been a hell of a different atmosphere after Zegras pulled that off, as opposed to just like high-fiving your buddies and hearing the one guy that was up in the press box yelling and screaming, "Nice goal."
And I will say it's a 3-headed race, or probably 4-headed race now as far as Rookie of the Year is concerned. And well, actually, 5, because you could throw Bunting in the mix after his hat trick. He's now tied for the
Bunting is not
in
the race. He's not in the race.
Fuck you, dude. He plays for the Leafs. He's always
years
in the
old.
race.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Kaprizov won it last year, and he's 42.
Exactly,
I know
and it got brought up so much that it won't happen again. Bunting has zero chance of winning Rookie of the Year, Biz. I know you're a Leafs forever guy. It's not happening.
Will you get the other ear pierced if Bunting wins Rookie of the Year?
I'll get my cock pierced if Bunting wins Rookie of the Year.
Print it. Print the shirts. Clip it to fucking Twitter. Prince Albert.
My wife might like that, actually.
Get the little vibrator on the end, the little French tickler.
I had a buddy in college who did that. I don't know why.
No way! Oh, shocker! Oh, yeah, no, it was you, RA. You're just saying it was your buddy.
No. My buddy, he did. It was actually at the the base of his hog. Yeah, he had that. And then there was a girl who had her lower parts pierced, and everyone on campus, her nickname was Clit Ring. Like, that's what everybody, like, they didn't even call her real name. Like, oh, hey, Clit Ring. Like, they'd literally say it to her face. She would show people too. She was a wild one. That Clit
That's
Ring.
North Adams State for you.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get one clipped onto my Forzy if he wins it, Whit, so it'll be kind of like a lip ring for my cock.
All right, moving right along.
Hey, but there was one other thing. So now we're starting to see the Misha Sonk.
Oh, that's
the new wave. Huberdeau did it, and another guy has done it where they fake doing the Michigan pickup, and then they end up just feeding a guy in the slot. And a lot of people are taking it hook, line, and sinker, including the goalies. Because all of a sudden they come up a little bit, and they maybe start protecting the top of the net, expecting it, and then Sonk. Right
ruining everything the game stands for, Biz. I can't have it.
Yeah, and then Torts with these takes, man. I mean, come on, man.
What's it ruining? It's
did he dog that goal too?
Yeah, he kept going with the integrity of the game bullshit. It's just like, holy fuck, man.
They're fucking goals, man. They're goals. So, in the Southern California teams, Biz, I was saying at the beginning of the year, not a lot of people had these teams doing too well, LA and Anaheim. But right now, Anaheim's second in the Pacific. Kings are third. They've had Kings have had a resurgent Anze Kopitar. Iafalo's been lighted up. Adrian Kempe and Arvidsson was a great pickup for them. Quick and Peterson, you look at their numbers, they're not too spectacular, but they've been a pretty formidable 1-2. But the Ducks, that's who we're here to talk about right now. They've been getting tremendous contributions up and down the lineup. Like we said, Troy Terry, who we're going to bring on very shortly, 41 points. Trevor Zegras, Getzlaff, talk about another guy having a resurgent year. Shattenkirk on the back end having a fantastic year.
He's been awesome this season.
But their MVP may well be Gibson in between the pipes. This guy's been incredible. 15-10-7 record, 9.22 save percentage, 2.51 goals against. But there was a tweet, I think, what's his name? Dmitry Filipovich sent that out earlier. His last 9 starts, he's been absolutely through the roof, John Gibson. But I think he'd be the MVP of this team so far.
What are the stats, all right? Do you want to pull him up in the midst? Yep. So he had a couple, I would say probably 3 or 4 bad starts there about a month, 6 weeks ago. And then lately, every time I look, they're getting outshot 45-20. And they're winning games 2-1, 3-2. So, I mean, we keep talking about the guy in Tampa. We keep talking about Saros. We keep talking about Shesterkin, who's probably in the lead right now for the Vezina. But I tell you what, if Gibson's able to keep this up, he's going to be up there in the top 3 for sure, man. Very impressive. And he's always been their backbone there. I thought maybe if things didn't go according to plan, he could maybe be a little bit of trade bait. But at this point, there's no fucking way that they're letting that guy go.
From Dmitry Filipovich, John Gibson since the holiday break, and he posted this on the 29th. 9 games, 5-on-5 save percentage, 953. Overall save percentage, 944. Faced 32.8 expected goals, only gave up 18 of them. Stopped 92 of 100 high-danger shots he faced. Stopped 85 of 89 shots in his last 2 games. So,
what is an expected goal?
Like high quality scoring chance.
Yeah,
like if you get a slot chance or like a breakaway, and they evaluate it. I mean, it's analytics, but I mean, it's you got to watch the game tape and see if it's legit. It's just like a new stat that they can calculate how well goalies are playing. Now, the when Hellebuck won the Vezina, that was one of the biggest reasons why, is they were just giving up odd man rushes and he was just standing on his head.
It's just like, not to play devil's advocate, but if it's a breakaway or a grade A scoring chance and it's Malkin or it's a defensive defenseman, it's like they look at that the same in the stat. That makes no sense to me. All they look at is the chance. They don't look at who's getting the chance. So expected goals to me seems a little foolish. But that's not to take away Gibson. I'm just thinking out loud. I had never really thought about expected goals.
Oh, you mean you hate analytics?
No, I don't hate them. I think at times it's like that's a kind of an example of like, what do you mean expected goals?
A lot of gray area.
Yeah, it's
friend.
like...
Yeah, and Anthony Stolarz has been a pretty damn good backup as well. He's been no slouch either. So you know what? Instead of talking about it ourselves, we're going to bring on Troy Terry to talk a little bit more about the Ducks. But first, we want to let you know that his interview is brought to you by Blue Nile. I know Valentine's Day is just around the corner, or perhaps you're thinking of finally popping the question, but you're not sure how to proceed. Well, that's why you want to go to BlueNile.com. If you're seeking a fine piece for a gift, but you're having trouble choosing, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7 via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. And if you're looking to sign your partner up to a lifetime deal, Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewels will then build the perfect engagement ring because each is one of a kind. So make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Spittin' Chiclets listeners get $50 off of $500. This podcast exclusive is only good through Valentine's Day and includes engagement. So use the code Chiclets. That's code Chiclets, Chiclets. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. I've got a couple beautiful pieces for my wife here. She absolutely loves them, and I guarantee you your significant other will as well. So, BlueNile.com, and now enjoy Troy Terry. All right, I'd like to welcome our next guest to the show. This forward was taken in the 5th round of the 2015 draft by Anaheim, then went on to win gold at the World Juniors and the National Championship with the University of Denver. He also represented the U.S. at the 2018 Olympics. Currently in his 5th season with the Ducks, he's already established career highs in goals, assists, and points while leading the team in points. So thanks a bunch for joining us on the Spittin' Chiclets podcast. Troy Terry, how's it going, man?
It's good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Our pleasure. And you actually just broke some great news to us. You were voted in as the last man in for the Pacific Division, so you are officially an All-Star. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I honestly, especially with, some of the Canadian markets and everything, I didn't really think that the whole vote was going to go my way. And, you got guys like JT Miller and my buddy Matthew up there. So I was kind of a little surprised by it, but it's pretty cool for me. If you told me I was going to be an all-star before the year started, I don't know if I would have believed you. So it's pretty cool for me.
Does that make you feel a little bit better after your Dallas Cowboys completely fucking blew that game or what?
Oh, Rudy told me he mentioned you guys about that, so I knew it was coming. But
let's talk Cowboys, man. What the hell is going on?
He's named after Troy Aikman, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. No, it's been, honestly, I don't mean this in a joking way at all, that I needed a pick-me-up still from this weekend. I've never seen a game like that. I was literally on the floor, like, banging the floor. I'm like, Spitler, clock it, whatever. And the ref runs into him, and I was just losing my mind. My dogs were all over me because I was just screaming. It was a weird day, but that team, it's tough for me because they always give me hope. Like Cam, I live with Cam, and he's a Lions fan, and it's hard for him. But at least like they don't give him hope, Like my team, I think they're going to be good. And then it's just either we just miss the playoffs or we lose in the first round. And it's always in that kind of fashion. But
so are you a Dak believer?
I am a Dak believer. If he's watching this, I
heard you tweet at him and stuff. Like, I love you,
direct
Dak.
Message him. I send him everything I can. But,
does he respond?
No, he does not.
You're DMing him?
We went to the they played the Chargers in LA, I think it was right before training camp. So it was kind of a go day for us. So we all, a bunch of us went up there, and we took a Sprinter van up there, and I was pretty banged up already, before we got there, and I was just sending him messages on Instagram and everything. Also 30 minutes before the game, he would see them, but yeah.
Did you bring a sign? Did you color a sign? I love Dak.
No, I've been trying for years with him and Zeke to get their attention, but they won't give me any love.
Yeah, I love how you're it's 30 minutes before the game, so he didn't see it, but he's on his phone 20 minutes before the game on TV. You're like, oh, he's definitely seen that.
He's like, I see him looking on the sidelines at his phone. What the hell's going on?
He already made us wait for this interview, folks at home, because he was DMing him, hey, I just made the All-Star game. If you want to respond to me now, I'm more legit.
Honestly, I feel like all the just trying to get accolades and all that is not even for me. It's just to try and get them to notice me.
Okay, so Rudy did tell me one other thing, and I wasn't going to bring it up, but you seem like you're pretty self-deprecating and admitting that you're DMing Dak Prescott nonstop. Now, you ended up, I don't know if you're engaged yet, but you're still with your high school sweetheart, but you guys broke off a little bit. And then he said for the 3 years you guys were together, you would constantly remind him, you're like, I need to get back with my girl. I need to get back with my girl. To the point where you full court pressed, and now you got her back.
It was a full court press. It was fun. It kind of became like don't get me wrong, it was full court press, but it kind of just became like a joke too, with because the guy like Rudy and all those guys knew her and everything, and it was kind of a running joke that I was just full court pressing it. And then like I remember being kind of like my first time in pro hockey. Actually, my first time with like older guys was at the Olympics. And I was always like curious how that dynamic would go. Like, what do I talk to these guys about? And they kind of just love hearing about my girl issues, pretty much was kind of how I figured out I was going to relate to them. And yeah, like at the Olympics, like if I'd score or whatever, they'd be like, oh, Danny's watching. And then it got carried into like pro hockey here. And it kind of just became a whole thing. And then now that we're back together, it seems a little fucked up actually. But because like whenever I talk to people about it, like I think in San Diego, we had a power play breakout that was named after her. And
she's like, I wouldn't have got back with you had I known you were talking about me this much when we were apart.
I think it was the power play breakout that got her back. But it's funny because now I talk about it and we're like actually together, and it seems a little messed up now. But
who is the vet that you would go to the most regarding all this advice to get her back? And what was his actual advice, and then how did you get her back?
Well, who was a huge part of it was Brian Gianta was a huge part of it. He just loved hearing about it. And then Luke Shen, my first year when I was down in San Diego, he was like, anytime we'd get, go out on the town or anything, he'd be in my ear. He's like, you got to call her. And then there's a few times that it actually didn't go my favor. I'd call her and it'd be like 1 a.m. It wouldn't go so good, but just a lot.
Anybody else answer on the other end of her?
No, luckily that never happened, but I don't think I helped myself with the phone calls at 1 a.m. with Luke Shen in my ear telling me what to say, but just a lot of perseverance. And then it's funny because like especially that first year in San Diego is when it was like really it was full press, and I feel like I need to invite like all of them to the wedding now, even guys I don't talk to anymore, just because they were all such a big part of it.
Do you think that first year is because you left school early after your junior year, and not being in the NHL is a little tough if maybe you had expected that. So you're down in the minors, you miss your old girl, kind of one of those things where I wish I was in the show.
Yeah, I mean, there was some low points that year, I guess you could say, with being sent down. I'm in the minors, and yeah, exactly. But it was, I mean, it was hard, like from a life standpoint. But it was just like it almost made it harder because it became such a joke that the older guys all thought it was funny how much I'd talk about it and all that. So then like usually like you break up with someone, you miss your ex, whatever. Like you don't talk about it that much, but like because I was trying to relate to these older guys and they all thought it was so funny. It was like I talked about her every day. So it was just every day. It was just a reminder of it.
That's so funny. Let's go back to this year you're having and the fact that were you voted last man in?
Yeah. So I was voted last man in. I mean, I got to give the Ducks media guys credit. They were full court press in that. But yeah, so from my understanding was, I won I guess it's a total fan vote. So I guess I won that fan vote. So, yeah, so I'm going to Vegas.
Well, you could be honest. I mean, I certainly was shocked. It was like kind of you, Kadri, and Crosby were the three names really going on, Marchand as well, in terms of guys not making it. So I know you're not thinking about that playing games, but at some point when the team was announced, you must have been a little surprised you weren't on there.
I mean, I understand how it goes, but like for me, I mean, I know like Crosby and Marchand, I'm sure it's still a huge deal to them, but like, I don't know how many all-star games like Crosby's been to, but like for me, to kind of, it's not like it's like I'll tell you, like any other hockey player, like I just want the team to do good, and that is the case. But for me, having the season and everything, like to be an all-star, I mean, it's pretty cool to me. I mean, I didn't expect to be here, and I've just kept it rolling, and it was a little disappointing. Like it's something that, you know, who knows, like when I'm done playing hockey, I'll be able to say that I was an all-star. So it was just something that, you know, was something that I thought would be pretty cool for me. And but I do understand, like the league, you know, how the whole system works and it being in Vegas. So like it was just like a accumulation of things that were kind of going against me. So I kind of understood that. But it was something, like, I'm not going to tell you that it didn't mean much to me. And, you know, it is something that's pretty cool to me.
I mean, you've been absolutely tearing it up this year. You've already tripled your goal output from last year in 10 fewer games. What changed from last year? Is it confidence, approach, nothing at all? Like, what's different?
Yeah, I mean, like confidence for sure. I mean, it's one of those things, like, I don't know how much, I mean, you guys watched last year and all that, but, you know, last year I felt like last year I was getting scratched. I was in and out of the lineup the first, like, half the year. And then I felt like I kind of figured it out, and I don't know, I felt like I was, you know, I don't think I'm doing anything that much different this year, other than, you know, when I'm getting these opportunities, I'm not surprised by them anymore. I'm ready for them and just have more confidence in those situations. And for me, I don't want to say I'm a mental midget, but I definitely have always kind of rided my highs and lows. Like if I had, you know, 3 points, I would, you know, be on the phone with my parents, just yelling and screaming. I'd be, this is the best thing ever. And then I'd have a bad game, and it'd be like, I'd just be so hard on myself. So that was kind of my biggest thing is this year, is I just kind of, I mean, there's been some stretches this year where I haven't had any points, and just kind of approaching it the same way. It's also easier to, you know, handle the times when points don't come when you've got some banked up. But that's kind of been my biggest thing. I mean, I'm surprised by how many goals I had. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I expected to be where I'm at right now, but it was a year that I was coming into, and I was excited to just kind of, you know, have the confidence that I found last year to start a year. And then things just kind of started off hot, and I've just kind of been rolling with it.
The high and low period, like, was that something that you just kind of self-reflected on and figured it out on your own, or did you like go to talk to anybody about that?
Well, like my first year when I was in San Diego, whether it was for the other things we talked about or for hockey, there was like someone we had down there to talk to. And, you know, it was something that I've always had trouble with, is I would just be so hard on myself. And, you know, and I felt like I was playing good hockey. Like I'd have all these chances, and I just couldn't score. I mean, the goalies are good, and, you know, and I would just get so frustrated, and it takes people different amounts of time to kind of figure that out, but it's definitely just been something that I've kind of just had to figure out on my own through trial and error, pretty much.
I know we kind of bounce around through these. Sometimes we start at the beginning. Now, when you were at Denver, you had Montgomery, and when you stepped in there your first year, I heard you struggled a little bit too, maybe with the physicality of playing against men at that age. And you struggled. Do you think that played a big component in you trying to get adjusted to pro hockey in your time down in San Diego?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've always been someone that's kind of, it hasn't just like clicked for me right away. Like I've kind of been someone that needs to like feel comfortable and just kind of just feel comfortable. Like for me, in our, like you guys watch Z play, you know, like he's got, no matter what happens, he's going to keep trying to do the same things he always does. Like if it works, if it doesn't, if the coaches yell at him, if we yell at him, like I'm envious of it. And I was never that way. Like I felt like I had to just work as hard as I can and do everything right and earn like my teammates' respect and like the coaches' respect before I felt like I could really play my game and like open up and try like the creative plays that I like to do and that type of stuff. And like, I wish it didn't take that for me, because it did take longer. I mean, even last year I was in and out of the lineup, and, you know, it's hard to just go back in the lineup and just be like, oh, okay, well, I'm a skill guy and just go play my skill game. And, but that's kind of the issue that I always had, was just like, I felt like I had to do everything right to get the coach's trust and my players, like my teammates' trust and all that, before I could kind of open it up and like play my game. Like last year, if I had a first shift, I did something good and I felt like I was in a good position with the coach and the teammates, like then the rest of the game, I felt like a different player. I'd be kind of playing my own way. But like if I would have had a turnover my first shift, I'd just be in a shell the rest of the game, just trying to, make up for it. And this year I just kind of, I don't care as much about, the things that don't go my way or that type of thing. And it helps to have validation that what I'm good at works at this level. So like, I know that, if it doesn't work one time, that, I can fall back because what I'm doing is working and not get so upset about it.
We've talked a lot on this show about how it's so far and few between with the guys that really come out and dominate at 21 years old, 20 years old in the NHL. It's so crazy. It happens more often now, but you're a perfect example of a fifth-round pick, first year in college, seeing it out. Then all of a sudden you become over a point per game guy, get to the pro level, not all the time in the NHL, but you become over a point per game guy in the AHL, and then now you're doing it in the show. So I think in the end, you're really somebody that once you get acclimated, once you get used to it, you know what you can do. It's just about getting to that level at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how it was. Actually, funny. So my first college game when I came into DU, I think I started on the first line with Trevor Moore and Danton Heinen, and we played Air Force in Air Force. And I don't know if you guys have had the chance to watch the Air Force Academy play hockey, but
they kill people.
Torpedoes all over the ice.
There's not a whole lot of creativity going on that team. They're pretty meat and potatoes. They're gonna run you through the glass. They're gonna block shots with their face. They're just like, and it was kind of like it hit me right away. Like, oh my, this is a different level. And I feel like that year was kind of a whole adjustment period. I felt like at the end of that year, I kind of figured it out, and it's been the same, like you said. I feel like I wish I wasn't this way, but I feel like I've always just kind of had to feel my way through it and just get comfortable before I kind of play with the confidence that I need to.
Hasn't Getsy really helped you come along as a pro, whether you wanted to hear it or not?
Yeah, I mean, Getsy is someone that I just always looked up to. Even before I was drafted the Ducks, I thought he was, I mean, you guys know his resume. He's something else. But I didn't expect to become so close with him just off the ice. I mean, he's like one of my best friends on the team. I don't know if he'll say that or not, but I'll say it. But he really has meant a lot to me. Well, it's funny too, because when I came into the league, I used to just get, our management and everyone was all over me because I would always pass. I would never shoot. And I was just a pass first guy. And I think that kind of resonated with Getsy too, because that's kind of been his whole career. And, I feel like he just kind of took me under his wing because he saw potential there and that they were always all over me to shoot the puck more. And it's funny to think about now because this year I feel like I just shoot. I don't pass anymore. But that's kind of why I feel like he kind of took me under his wing. And, the things I have obtained from him just as a man too, just off the ice is I can't say enough about.
Troy, we can hear you playing with your video game controller there in the background. So if you don't mind not playing with that, because it'll bug the viewers. I think it was a pen, but I just figured I'd bring up the video game action because apparently you're a nut when it comes to FIFA. We were talking to Rudy, who we've had on the show before. Grinelli, what were the dating apps or the dating thing we were doing with him?
Rudy did a sponsored Hinge segment, which was quickly canceled.
Yeah, we got it canceled.
Yeah, I think he got us in trouble
because he was getting laid too much, and Hinge wasn't happy about it. He wasn't spending enough time on the app. He was spending too much time balls deep. Why are you so obsessed with video games?
I mean, Rudy mentioned FIFA. I feel like there's always one game that I just get like addicted to pretty much, and it was FIFA for me in college. Rudy used to see I wasn't making any money back then too, and that game is such like a pay to have a good team in the game. Whatever. My mom used to drive my mom nuts because she'd see all the credit card charges and all this because I'd be buying packs and all that. And it's something I'm not proud of anymore. But yeah, I mean, I've always been a video game guy, and then pro hockey hasn't been the best thing for me because I just sit around at home all day. But now I'm playing like baseball on it. I play all those games. I've always been kind of a gamer. I lived with Jonesy, Max Jones, at Cam's house, and like me and he's the same way. So we just kind of feed off each other, and it's a lot of video games going around, whether I'm proud of it or not.
I read you're part of a fantasy bachelor league. Is that's actually a thing? How does that work?
Oh, we used to do it in college. Pretty much you just you watch the the first night they all come out of or they all pull up, whatever. Pretty much you watch everyone's entrances, and then you pause the show and you just have a full on draft. And there's like scoring. It goes in. That's something I haven't done in a while either. But I remember at Rudy's house in college, they used to put the pictures up on the wall. They'd print out pictures of all the contestants, and they'd be on the walls, and there'd be a full draft. It was a whole event, actually.
So, playing at Denver, you get to win a national title there. You're from Denver, which is such an improving hockey market. I feel like you see way more kids coming out of there. But was it your dream from the time you're 12 years old to play for the Pioneers?
Oh yeah, if you ask anyone around our organization here, I'm very obnoxious, but I got a tattoo on my rib cage. Actually.
I couldn't stand one of those. You're guys. I couldn't.
I am one of those guys.
Worse than OHL guy.
He's an OHL guy for the NHCH, whatever the hell the conference is now.
The NCHC. But yeah, I grew up going to DU games. That was kind of like the Avs tickets were expensive, so those were kind of the games that I'd go to when I was young. And I was a freshman in high school, or I was young when I remember Colorado College was always like the enemy, the rival. And they came to one of my like U16 games or something. And then pretty much they called me to have like a sit down, which I still don't know if they were or not, but I assumed that they were going to offer me. And pretty much DU found out about it and then called me in. It was still Gwozdecky. And then, so the DU offered me, and it was the only offer I ever got. And it was the first offer, and I accepted it on the spot. So it was the only place I wanted to go. And then Gwozdecky actually got fired like a week after I committed. So I was kind of unsure if I still had my scholarship or not. But
you gave him a full ride?
That's full Nick Saban right there, just finding out about the other college and coming over and cock blocking. Right out
not that
families
they
are giving
wanted
birth
me.
to their
no
kids.
One else could have me.
What's that?
Well, I don't even know if they had seen me play at that point. I think they just didn't want CC to have me.
So growing up in Denver too, you got some chance to play on Joe Sakic's kids minor hockey team. And I hear stories about during the lockout, him coming on the ice with you guys. You guys would go over to Joe Sakic's place. He would sometimes put on the goalie pads and you would get to shoot on Joe Sakic.
Yeah. I mean, I remember my dad, he came up to my dad because it was during the lockout year. I don't know how old we were. We had to have been like 7 or 8. We were really young. I remember he told my dad, he was like, I think your sons could be a really good hockey player. And so that was always special to me. I do remember going over to his house. And so he put on the full goalie pads. We were in the driveway. And me and his son, Mitch, would shoot on him. And there was a net that was like, I don't know, so far away. And basically, if he made the save, like you could just tell how competitive he was. Like he couldn't just let us shoot on him. Like there was a way for him to win. Like if we shot on him and he made the save, he would drop the gloves and then rip a puck like at the net. That was like, I don't even know how far it was. It was far. So like if he made the save, his way to beat us was like, he had to rip the puck at the net. That was like way far away. And that, I mean, I feel like at that age too, I didn't appreciate how cool it was until I got older. But it's definitely one of the cooler memories I have of him. And I was, I mean, he's he's exactly what you guys think he'd be. He's super humble guy, just quieter, and just I was always impressed by him. He's the reason I wore number 19.
Huh, Mr. Sakic. You wanted to be a goalie at first, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I started as a goalie. I was a big inline hockey guy growing up, and I was playing goalie for a while. I don't think my dad had a harder time with me playing goalie than I did, actually. I feel like goalie's tough on parents, but I think he pretty much made me switch.
I heard it's because you had have a body like a milk bag. And when you were drafted, you had Tom Brady body. That's why you went in the 5th round.
RA and I aren't saying shit right now.
I always joke. I didn't get invited to the combine, and I think if I got invited to the combine, I probably wouldn't have gotten drafted. So.
Another guy, he talked about Joe Sakic saying that to your father. Another guy, even before I think you'd made your impact in the NHL, was Paul Kariya. When he was asked about some of the prospects in the system, he says, I think this Troy Terry is going to be a very special player. And so obviously that I feel like these guys who were special players, when they see a special player, they're able to tell right away. There's just something about them that's going to make them last in the NHL.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Paul's been someone that I feel like Paul is someone that, with everything, he doesn't come around very often. I don't get to see him that often. Like Teemu shows up every once in a while, but Paul is someone that, is he's a huge deal in our organization. And he's someone that I know has always been a fan of mine because I know him and Jim Montgomery were line mates back in college, and they're good buddies. So that's how so I know that's how he used to watch me when I was in college before I even came to the organization and everything. So he's been someone that I feel like means a lot to me, but I've only met him like one time, but I know he's a fan of mine and I'm a huge fan of his. So he's he's a guy that I looked up to like crazy growing up. So it's cool to have all these guys, say things about you. And I just wish that I believed it in myself a few years ago, and it took me a little less time to figure it out.
The team you're talking about, 1993 Maine, one of the best documentaries for college hockey I think ever created, Out of the Woods. Must be on YouTube. It's the season-long following. I'm sure you've seen that, right?
Yeah, it's great. And it was fun for us too, because Monty had hair back then and all that. So it is a pretty cool documentary.
So there's also a bit of a fun fact. The last time before you ended up winning the national championship, the last time a hat trick was scored in a national championship game was Monty back when he won it with Maine. Now, when you guys went to the national championship, one of your teammates, how do you say his last name? Luco Savages?
Luco Savages. It's not an easy one.
Yeah, he ended up potting a hat trick as well. So it's kind of like a funny thing. Was it brought up in the locker room afterward with Monty?
Well, they showed it. He never said anything about it, but as soon as he scored the third one, they were showing, like, they had that stat ready. It was on the Jumbotron in there as soon as he scored it. And it had just a picture of Monty back in his Maine days. And it told us, right. I didn't know that either until it happened, but it was something that we found out right away. And surprised. I feel like he is someone to bring that up, but I don't know if he ever did bring it up after that.
When I think recently you got asked about him, you got brought up, and I don't know if you got emotional, but you went in depth about how much of an impact he had in your career. Was he your best coach ever?
I mean, I feel like he's the one that kind of molded me as a hockey player the most, for sure. Just coming into college, and I played at the national program, and I don't know if you guys have seen who all was on that 97 NTDP team, but it was stacked. And I was our fourth line winger, penalty kill. I just felt like there was always a lot more to my game that I wanted to bring out. And I had just played 2 years, kind of playing this different role. And he was kind of the guy that, he was an unreal player. Like, he was smaller in that era, which was harder to kind of make it, but his hockey mind and everything was just is still, it's tough to beat. He kind of instilled everything that, I kind of stand by as a player in me. And more than that, he just meant a lot to me off the ice. I mean, his family was wearing Terry jerseys when I was at World Juniors and the Olympics, and just he's someone that, like, even I think it was last year or there was 2 years ago, there was a game that I got scratched in where I felt like I played really good the game before. And like, I'll send him my clips, you know, like he's still that to me. Like I'll send him my clips and be like, well, what did you think of this? Like, what do I need to do here? Or what's going on here? He's just someone that if I ask him to, you know, break down my shifts or something, he'll do it in a heartbeat and stop what he's doing. And he's someone whose opinion, you know, means a lot to me.
So being a late round pick, the first time I really, you know, saw you, I think for most hockey fans, was your amazing run in the shootout in the semifinals of the World Junior. Now that World Junior team, Adam Fox, Charlie McAvoy, Jordan Greenway, I think you could have had Austin Matthews and Matthew Tkachuk had they not been in the NHL. What a special thing to win a gold medal and to have this legendary run, like the TJ Oshie of World Juniors in that shootout. Kind of take me through your mind. We asked Oshie the same thing. Did you know you were going every time? Did you know the move you were going to do? Just bring me through that whole experience.
Well, if we had those guys that you mentioned, I don't think I would have made the team. Because like you said, I had a slow freshman year at DU. I started out pretty good my sophomore year and kind of just like made the team because of my start that year. And I don't know if you guys know who Steve Miller is. He was like assistant coach at DU. He's at Ohio State. He was the assistant coach on the team. And he always jokes to me that they were picking a team. And he just kept like taking my name on the whiteboard and just kept putting it back up there. If they bring it down, he just kept putting it back up there. And I guess that's kind of how I made the team. So like I made the team. I remember too, actually, I was roommates with Keller. And they like were having a hard time picking the team. So basically we went to bed and we were told if you are waking up by a knock on your door, it means that you have a flight to go home like early the next morning. So basically if you slept in, you made the team. And I knew that if there was a knock on the door, it wasn't for Clayton Keller, it was for me. But yeah, so I didn't think I was going to make the team. I, you know, made it. I had a good tournament. And then going into that game there, I didn't even think I was going to shoot. And then I scored the first one. I think Bracco scored after me to keep it going. And then I know I've been told the plan was that I was going to go and then Bracco was going to go if we had to go again. And then I think it switched. So they scored and then I had to score to keep it going. Kind of a move that I used to do a lot. Like it was just kind of going fast, slow down. All this is like etched into my brain, so I could tell you all of it. It's one of those memories for me, but scored the second one. And then they missed, and basically Bob Motzko was like, fuck it, go again. And yeah, it's crazy too, because I don't know if I had any thoughts going through my head at that time. Like I was so just, I don't know if you want to say in the zone or if I was just like checked out mentally, like what's going on. It was one of the two.
Like I have a FIFA game starting in 20 minutes.
Exactly. I think I actually brought my Xbox on that trip.
Texting his mom to buy him hot cards between periods at the fucking World Junior game.
Honestly, I think I had my Xbox on that trip.
Oh, shocker.
But yeah, so that third shot, that's a move that I've just never done in my life. And I don't know where that came from. Really? I don't know when I decided to do that. I don't know. I went to my backhand and I think the puck actually went, I think it like chipped up over the goalie's stick or something. Like, I don't know. I honestly don't know what happened there. But yeah, that was one of the craziest things ever. And then in the finals game, I just kind of did the same move that I started with the last time. And I remember everyone too, it's like, don't go 5-hole, don't go 5-hole. You literally, like, because of last night, just don't do it. And I came down, I had a totally different move in my mind. I was going to go to my backhand and just decided to go 5-hole. I feel like something took over me there because I don't feel like I was in control of what was going on, but it was like just from 6 days earlier, I was like scared I wasn't going to make the team to that moment was just wild for me.
Yeah, going 5-hole again, like that's some sicko shit. That's that's worse than DM and fucking Dak Prescott 30 times before kickoff. Even more so with the old lady. That's some sick puppy shit. So you weren't even thinking about it going in. You just kind of had that.
Oh, I think I was gonna like fake a shot, go backhand, and I just like it was like word vomit. Like I just like went to go make a move, and I was like, oh god, I got to do it, and then just like shot at 5-hole, and it like I couldn't help it. And it was honestly like. Literally, I can't even tell you how many people told me right before. They're like, don't do it, like fake it, do something else. And yeah, it was wild.
Well, I mean, going back to the start of the interview, you talked about the highs and lows. So you end up not thinking you're going to make the team, making that team, going on to win gold, beat Canada in the finals, have obviously become a household name, much like Oshie. What were they calling him? 5-hole Terry?
Yeah, I think that not Danny Heatley account made the 5-hole Terry shirt.
Shocker. And then you go on to win the national championship that year. Like, just talk about that run. I'm not sure exactly who you guys ended up playing in the finals. Like, just that must have been probably one of the highlights of your career as well.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those. I don't know how much you guys want to hear all these like side things, but
I like it.
Yeah. So pretty much came back from World Juniors. Played Western Michigan the next weekend, and I broke my wrist. And yeah, so this is another Cowboy story. I break my wrist, so I literally went from like the highest of highs at World Juniors to broke my wrist on Friday night in Western Michigan. And then that Sunday, I was out of it for like, obviously I wasn't playing hockey. So that Sunday, the Cowboys are playing the Green Bay Packers. The Cowboys are playing the Green Bay Packers in the divisional round of the playoffs. And that was like their rookie year. That was the year I was like all in on Zeke and Dak. It was a rookie year. And I just started pounding beers because I was like, I just broke my wrist. The Cowboys are playing. I was like, no one was drinking with me. There was literally just me. Like I had a beer like every offensive drive they had in the second half because it was working. So I just kept it going. And I just will never forget, like, I was just so low in my life, my wrist, everything. And that field goal went in to lose the game, like right at the end. And I just instantly, in Rudy's basement, you can ask him about it. I just like, I got sick, like immediately, like, cause it went in and I had these beers and it was like one of the lows of my life. And then basically like came back way faster than I thought I would 3 weeks later. And then we started this run where we were kind of the favorite all year. We had Will Butcher, who was the Hobie winner that year. And he was just an absolute stud for us. And we had Henrik Borgstrom, who's in Chicago now, but I don't know how much you guys saw him in college. He was sick. He was sick. Yeah. We had Gambrell, who's in Ottawa now. Like we had a really good team and we were kind of the favorites, but that's kind of the weird part about college hockey is you play these one game playoff series basically. And yeah, we did, I think we played Michigan Tech or I don't know. We kind of, it was kind of a breeze. We kind of like ran through people up until we got to the finals. And then we played Duluth and who was kind of like number 2 all year, and they're in our conference. So we played them like 5 times that year, and they had a good team. They had like Iafallo, Toninato. They had some good players. And yeah, so Luco had the hat trick. We were up 3-0, kind of broke the game open. And then I don't know if you guys watched this game, but probably like he's going to be the best man at my wedding. My best friend, Tarek Hammond, he broke his ankle like really bad in that game, like had to be stretchered off the ice. It was really bad. But basically we're winning 3-0. That happened and kind of just like took the wind out of us a little bit. I mean, it was emotional, and all of a sudden they just started peppering us and scored one quick, and we just hung on and and then celebrated in Chicago that night, and then took the plane back in the morning. And that was one of the, like in college hockey, I know you guys are getting sick of me talking about college hockey, but I could do it all day. But the springtime in college is fun because the season's over, but you still have a few months left of school. So it's pretty much just like a 2-month bender in college of just, having fun and whatever. And that was like winning it. And then having that, like being off and in college was so fun. So that's one of my favorite memories. That's why I got the tattoo on my rib cage.
One of the parts of those offensive drives you didn't mention, he said, Rudy said you were putting in a chew as well as downing a beer. So he said the chew more than likely took over, and that's why you ended up yucking after that made field goal by Green Bay.
Yeah, I had, there's a lot of things going on. It was like a chew for every defensive drive, a beer for every offensive drive. I was like, I remember that moment so specifically, and I remember Aaron Rodgers coming onto the field with like 40 seconds left, and he looked right at the camera. I felt like he looked right at me, and just diced us up, got down into field goal range in like 20 seconds, and then kicked the field goal on. It just made me sick immediately.
Oh. Is the Cowboys fandom, is that from your dad? I know you named after Aikman. Was he a Cowboys fan and you got it from him?
Oh yeah. My dad played football. He was a quarterback growing up. He was on ASU as he was like their third string backup for quarterback, whatever. So he was a big football guy from Dallas. So that's kind of why I got into it. You should see him after every game the Cowboys lose, he'll be like, "Oh, Dak's footwork was shit." I'm like, "Oh my God, relax here." He's like, I'll call him. I'll be like, "Oh, that was a bummer." And he's like, "Yeah, Dak's footwork is bullshit." Like,
I don't like his footwork either. He seems too scattery in the pocket.
You should talk to Chuck Terry. He'll talk your ear off about his footwork. He hates it.
Does he hate McCarthy?
I mean, I don't think he loves some of the calls that McCarthy pulls up. That's for sure. I mean, we love Dak, we love the boys, but he, I'm a football guy, and he's the one who's like saying all this, they're cover 4 stupid shit. I'm like, well, I just talked to him about if they won or lost, pretty much. But he tries to break it down for me, and I'm just like, relax here.
I was going to ask G if he had any questions, because this is your age demographic, pal.
No, just walk us through what it was like going to college with the Rudy Junda. Because I mean, we like Biz said, we've had him on a couple of times.
He's a hipster now, according to G. Troy.
Full blown hipster, full blown Brooklyn hipster.
He's going Pete Davidson, nail painting, all of it, just crushing everything.
I feel like he's been well on his way for that, for a while. He was like that in college a little bit. He's always been a little different, outside the box. He's someone that going to college, and then the guys that, I played with that didn't really plan on playing hockey after or anything. He was just one of those guys that I would look at him and I'd be like, there's no way I could see you at a desk working somewhere right now. And he was always I'm sure how he is to you guys. He was just always that way. He was a riot. I mean, Tarek, my buddy, lived with him. So I was over hanging with Rudy all the time. Honestly, we lost my junior year, and I thought our team was better my junior year. And that was the year that Rudy finally started to really play too. He was actually playing every game that year, and we won it the year before, but everyone wanted to win it that year for Rudy almost, because the movie Rudy, I feel like it was fitting to him,
Suck on that, Rudy.
He was a pathetic player
walk on,
with
bitch.
no athletic ability that they wanted to win something for because they felt bad.
No, I remember sitting in the basement with Rudy just drinking beers, and he'd just be like, "How can I play? How can I get in the lineup?" And just all this stuff, and I just talk his ear off. And then he finally got in the lineup, and I remember he scored a goal in North Dakota. It went off his skate or something. I think it was his first goal. It went off his skate, or he tipped it or something. It was just a greasy one, and it was the most fired up we've ever been. I mean, that was who he was to us. He was I'll give it to him. He worked hard to try and play. It was a senior year, and he got in there, and because we all loved him off the ice. I mean, he's just a character, and he did do well with the girls in college. I will say that.
Of course he did. Another Denver legend, I'll call him. I'm close with Drew Shore. And he came on the show before. Great guy. I think a couple of his brothers played there as well. And then one of the brothers played at Harvard. But I asked him, I said, talk to me about Troy Terry. I know he's younger than you, but all you Denver Pioneers stick together. He said, this guy sucks at golf. He said he's absolutely fucking pathetic at the sport of golf. Is that true? Because with your mitts, I thought you'd be nice.
Honestly, you'd be surprised. Like, when it comes to, I'll get to Drew in a second, but when it comes to golf, like my finesse game is the worst part of my game. I feel like I just swing out of my shoes and I just hit the piss out of it and just like, I swing as hard as I can, but like my finesse game is no good. I can't putt. Like, I don't know, but I did play with Drew this summer and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I remember the round going not good for Drew and the round going actually pretty good.
That was
for
probably
me.
that was probably the round he threw his fucking clubs in the dumpster and then his brother went and grabbed them.
Honestly, Drew's like all the shorts too. I've been with, like you said, we all stick together. And this summer was like the first time that I'd actually got on the course with him. And we played this, you guys wouldn't know the course, I guess, if I said it to you, but it's like probably the hardest course in Colorado. And it was just absolutely eating us both up. So I don't know how he finds the nerve to come at me like that. But
I just texted him. He's saying he beat you, you muppet. So,
well, now that
because he's scoring so much this year, he's out of his mind. He's lost his mind with all these goals in the show.
Is that what he said? I literally saw when I just did that to you, but his name show up right when we started this interview. So I don't know if he knew that I was coming on, but he's a good guy. That guy, he makes me laugh. All the shores are the same. They're just like,
you play with one of them. You feel like you play with all three of them. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, they never leave each other's side. They're always chirping. They're just all that way. And there's like Luco, the guy you mentioned. It's funny too because he is one of like the most competitive, like kind of. He's a guy that'll like come at you in a summer skate if you wrong him or something, like he's one of those guys. And the shores would always come out and like they're so skilled and whatever, but like it's summer skates, like they don't go hard or anything. And Luco would always go with Drew and just like tomahawk his stick or something, anything like that. And it was so funny because Drew is just not the guy to handle that well. And we would just get into battles because like it'd be like my DU team was pretty much would always play against like the alumni and pros, and Drew was the guy that we would always go at because and get under his skin.
I mentioned the 2018 Olympics in South Korea. Outside of relationship advice, what was that experience like?
It was nuts. I mean, I realized that I made it because NHL players didn't go, but it was wild. It was like I think there was 4 college guys on the team. Like Greenway, I knew well. Borgen, I knew well. I didn't know Donato at all. But pretty much it was like the 4 of us and then guys that were all just playing in Europe and then pretty much Brian Giunta. And it was just like such a weird group of guys that some of them I didn't know anything about and they didn't know anything about me. And it was just, we had like a week to just get ready and play Pavel Datsyuk in Russia. And it was wild. I mean, hockey wise, it was cool. Like the rinks there the buildings were, I don't even know how to explain them. They were just so different. They're like unique Olympic like arenas. My parents got to go. So it was really cool. The village is awesome. There's, the cafeteria, they got a McDonald's in there. Like, it's just like all kinds of stuff going on in the village that I didn't really expect. But it was cool. I mean, I got to go to like, what is the other thing that sucked was I wanted to go see Shaun White and, and all like the other sports and all that. But in Korea, it was like, they were like 2 hours away from us. So pretty much if I wanted to watch any other events, it was just the stuff that was like on ice pretty much. So I went to like a curling match. That was fun. I can't remember his name. I think that they might have won it that year, but there was the one guy that was just, I was a huge fan of the curler. And then I remember they won their medal, and then I went down to eat, and he was just all at the McDonald's and just enjoying, like, I don't know, those guys were awesome. And then I saw the short track speed skating was one of the most like electric events I've ever been to in my life, because they're like, the long track was slow because it's like a marathon pretty much. And then the short track came on, and I was just blown away by it because they're going so fast. They're passing the baton, and just kind of going to those events was kind of my favorite part, honestly, because I didn't go that great for us on the ice.
I know you mentioned McDonald's twice already, but did you develop a taste for the Korean barbecue over there? They got some great food there, don't they?
They do. We didn't really have it like the cafeteria was pretty standard, but my parents were there. I went to one of the barbecue places one of the days with them. I was surprised. I mean, the food was good there. It was super, like, I think the best way to say it is like clean. It was just like super clean there, and the food was good. I had a great time.
Be honest, when's the last time you fired up the YouTube clips from the World Juniors?
It's like before this interview.
No, I mean, it's been a while. It is something though that, like, I'll see people tweet it at me, or like it'll show up, and it's something that I'll watch. It still gives me goosebumps. I mean, it was that type of moment for me that I just didn't expect, and it's still probably the coolest moment of my hockey career. It was nuts. I mean, I remember just laying in bed after that Russia game, and I won't lie to you, I was watching it a bunch because I didn't even remember any of it when it happened. So it was wild. It's something that I'll definitely watch when I see it.
I'm pretty sure you're going to wrap it up. My curiosity just took over. What was the thing that you did that got your girl back?
What did I do?
Some people would call it stalking.
I there was just like.
Did you serenade her on her front lawn?
No, I mean, she did. She lives like 6 houses down from me back home. Like I don't even know. It was just a lot of perseverance. Basically, there was just one night. I think I was with Rudy. We went out and pretty much just. I think I just like happened to run into her at the bar, and I wore some of my best clothes that night, and my frame was on display, and I think that just kind of sealed the deal for me.
You had that perfect liquid glaze, enough liquor courage to go over and spit some hot fire, and here we are. So we're expecting an invite to the wedding. I'm pretty sure we'll see you there. Maybe we'll do a live interview out of there, G, right after the ceremony.
We'll bring Rudy.
She'd love that.
Rudy will be the ring bearer.
Rudy could be the ring bearer.
Buddy, thank you so much, and congrats on a great season. And it's, you go from AHL All-Star right up to the NHL. Now you're an NHL All-Star. What a career so far, pal.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. That was fun.
Huge thanks to Troy for joining us. Great interview. Great kid, man. He's been absolutely tearing it up, so it was nice to get some insight on the Ducks, and hopefully you Ducks fans enjoyed it. We do want to let you know that the interview is also brought to you by our friends at Body Armor. Today's athletes deserve more than your grandfather's tired, old, salty sports drink, which is full of artificial dyes. Enter Body Armor. With potassium-packed electrolytes, antioxidants, B vitamins, plus no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes, Body Armor sports drink provides hard work and hydration. My favorite flavor is fruit punch, though. I'm known to dabble with the old strawberry banana once in a while. It's good stuff, too. Body Armor will be at the Chiclets Cup this weekend as our hydration partner, so make sure you grab some of that stuff at our hydration station when you're at the Chiclets Cup. It's going to be a blast this weekend. Who knows who you might bump into, too. Not just Biz Witt. There's going to be all kinds of NHL stars popping by. Stars from Netflix documentaries, everybody. It's going to be insane this weekend. So Body Armor helps today's athletes stay on top of their game. Body Armor, available for purchase in-store and on Amazon now. Once again, Body Armor, you can get it in-store or at Amazon right now. Good stuff. All right, boys. Yeah.
All right, I want to hop in there quick. So obviously a big thank you to G and everybody behind the scenes at Barstool who organized this thing. This took like months and months of preparation, even more so than Detroit. if you are going to be in Vegas for the All-Star festivities, we are starting Wednesday with just the people who are signed up for the event. We're going to have a nice little shindig. Grinelli, I'll tee you up after I'm done talking for where the event's going to be on Wednesday for all the people involved in Chiclets Cup to come register, grab your jersey, come grab a pop with us. We got all day Thursday. Anybody is invited, even people who aren't signed up to play in the Chiclets Cup. We're going to have live music. We're going to have DJ. We're going to have merchandise available there. We're going to have a little beer gardens where you can buy beer or Pink Whitney. You mentioned these like celebrities, and I'm getting texts nonstop. Anthony Stewart just texted me. He's going to be there. Anson Carter is going to stop by from TNT. Can I drop bomb?
No, we actually can't drop that.
Okay, bleep the name out. Yeah. Get them even more excited. Leave a little fucking little teaser for them. Wow. There's going to be including Terry Ryan and Terry Ryan Sr., who we just released that video of the Newfoundland Extravaganza. That was a re-release, guys. I went there. I had a blast. I probably smoked way too much pot while on camera, but who gives a fuck? Go to YouTube and enjoy it. They're going to be there. Terry Ryan Sr. has never been to Vegas, so he is going to be in his element, along with other NHL guys stopping by. So anybody who's in the area Thursday and or Friday, that's when the Chiclets Cup tournament will be happening. Anybody is invited. Any single hockey fan, come by, come say hello, come grab a shot of Pink Whitney with us, come grab a beer, and hopefully, just hopefully, we are the Big Deal Selects are going to march on to victory, and there is some hefty competition. We mentioned the nose face killer. You're fucking going down, you fucking peckerhead. So bring it. We will see you there. Chiclets Cup in Vegas. And thank you for the rant. Grinelli, I'll leave it up to you to let everybody know the locations.
Well, I was just going to say, did you guys see Chris Versteeg is also playing on a team? He's playing in the roller division on Nasher's team as well.
Holy shit.
He's got sick mitts.
Opening ceremonies is at 9:45 a.m. on Thursday. Come by. It's going to be a very cool opening ceremony. Playoffs starts at 11 a.m. on February 4th. That is the Friday. And closing ceremonies will be at 4:30.
And I'll tell you what, if we win the Chiclets Cup, I'll let a fan chuck a cake, just like Stevie Aoki does, right in Ryan Whitney's face if we win the Chiclets Cup. Ooh. So that's a promise. Mark it.
Price of admission right there.
You want to bet?
We'll change it. RA is going to take a dump on his chest right in the middle of the dance floor.
On Witt's
chest? Whose chest?
Witt's.
Oh, God. You got a better
you
chance.
on heroin right now?
You got a better chance of hitting the megabucks on the Sunday than Witt and
What the hell is he talking about?
I was drinking that hot tub water. I'm all fucked up still.
First time in Vegas in 7 years. The last time I was there was Malcolm Butler's interception. So
last time I was at Hakkasan, me and Merles got dragged out of there.
Shaka. All right.
Like what'd you do?
That was like 11 years ago.
What'd you do to get kicked out?
Waffled.
Oh, you mean like on every trip?
Doesn't he just fucking gamble?
Like RA in Minnesota?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of RA in Minnesota, we just came out with that ice fishing video too, which you were yucking at. So we can plug that. So check out our YouTube channel. We have tons of stuff coming out lately, guys.
You could have a video of me sleeping, and they'll be like, I already buckled. I'm like, the comments like, I'm like, dude, I didn't have a drink that day. I was fucking hungover to the max. Like,
yeah, okay.
It's like, buckled.
Yeah, speaking of heroin,
you weren't buckled.
Let's see. Moving right along. San Jose defenseman Erik Karlsson, who's been having a great year. He's going to be out until March. Huge loss for the Sharks. They've been in contention for playoff spots, speaking of California teams. He had surgery to repair a muscle tear in his left forearm. He's got 26 points in 33 games. So that's a huge hole for, like I said, a Sharks team that's in contention of playoffs right now. Ottawa Senators, a couple of notes on them. They had a really nice clip they posted of the team recognizing Austin Watson. He celebrated his third year of sobriety, and it was just a really cool moment. Sometimes, people go through those issues. They keep them private or whatever, and, he opted to share this, which is good for, helps other people who may be in recovery. But it was just so cool to see how receptive the team was, and I think, I forget what teammate was, come over, and, you get a chip each year for each year of sobriety. They came over and gave him a chip, and it was just a real nice scene. And like I said, anybody who's going through those type of struggles, hopefully it helped them out a little bit. And then Ottawa made us laugh a little bit too. How about this fan? He got a gigantic Josh Norris tattoo on his stomach just for an autographed jersey. Like, fucking
the worst.
It wasn't like a little thing on his thigh or his calf or something. I mean, it was this life-size tattoo of a guy on his stomach. But Josh Norris gave him his autographed jersey, so he's a man of his word. But tough way to get that one.
I thought that was the most ridiculous fan tattoo I've ever seen in my life.
And that's coming from a guy with a Halloween tattoo with an old pumpkin that's rotted on his forearm.
I think getting a Coyotes 2022-2023 Stanley Cup tattoo on my forehead would have been better than getting, no offense to Norris, but like it's the size of his actual head.
Oh, it might be
and
bigger.
I think where the mouth is, it's where his belly button is. Like it's fucking. I mean, at least get like a. Have you seen the one where people get the cat where the belly button's the asshole? That's actually kind of funny. I mean, I don't know how many times.
But I wonder what tattoo.
This has to be the worst.
I wonder what tattoo artists think when like someone says that. Like they're like, oh, here's another one. Once his cat's asshole on his body.
I think they're just thinking cha-ching.
Yeah,
cha-ching.
that too. But the other laughter we got out of there, Colin White. Yeah, he had a messed up shoulder. Yeah, and they were asking him what's the. It was almost like they were trying to goad the answer out of him, but they were asking him what's the worst part of having the shoulder injury. Gee, roll the clip because it's better than me saying it.
What did you find just in your average day was the biggest challenge with your shoulder?
Yeah, there's a few I won't say. I don't know, everything, man. The one I was going to say is wipe my ass. Excuse me. But I couldn't do that. Like, that was the worst part. That was legit the worst part. Yeah, exactly. I had to say it.
Amazing from the Rat Rink. And, that's a guy that with Miles Wood, me and Biz dusted in a sandbagger at Dedham Country Polo. Almost got him kicked out of that club, too. I don't know if I'm way off here, but I'm pretty sure what he first meant was cranking it. And then he's like, oh, shit. Like, yeah, I meant wiping my ass. Like, I don't know if he meant wiping his ass off the start, but the way he was trying to, like, spit it out, it was a classic clip from the Rat Rink.
Yeah, you can always just switch hands for that. Then, it's not
the
like
stranger?
Yeah, I mean,
feels like the real thing. That's what you call it, the stranger?
No, the stranger's when people sit on their hand and numb it so you don't even feel like it's your hand. I've never tried that for anyone wondering at home. Yeah. So, like R.A. wasn't drunk in many.
Ambidextrous,
I could see R.A. being the guy to put like a Ziploc bag with like lube on it and fuck between the mattresses or something.
Jesus, sounds like an idea you came up with, Paul. Not me, but did you guys? I'm sure you saw the clip I sent you. It was pretty cool. The Islanders and Kings played the other night, and after the game, referee Dean Morton, I guess he's announced his retirement, but I don't know when exactly he's gonna. I tried to investigate, but I couldn't seem to find out. But they all gave him, we've seen it before at refs. They all gave him like handshakes, and a bunch of guys gave him hugs and had a nice little chat, just like a cool little video. But I said I don't know if he's retiring right at the end of the season because it is only January, but. Yeah, it was a pretty cool clip to see, the respect.
I'm guessing it's after this year.
Yeah.
You can't do it like a season and a half in advance.
Right. I just didn't know the timing of it with those two teams. That's all. It's just
the reverse Tom Brady.
Oh, like you're wondering if that was his last game.
Well, yeah, it was. Yeah, that's all. Because they said he's retiring, but it was like, okay, but it's a January game between these two teams that I hadn't seen him, getting the goodbyes before. But either way, it was a very classy gesture by both teams, both organizations. And I know we dump on the refs once in a while here. We know they're a key integral part of the league. So it was nice to see the respect shown by all the players to those guys because they got a tough job. So good job, fellas. And
they get them like a lifetime supply of therapy for all the fucking abuse they take from the guys.
Well, and whenever he does retire, congrats to Dean Morton on a great career. Let's see. Vancouver named Patrick Alvin, the general manager. Jim Rutherford announced that the other day. The Team Canada roster was announced. Noteworthy names on there. Owen Power, Eric Stahl, Josh Ho-Sang, Devin Levi among the players named. It does sound like Power will join Buffalo right when Michigan's season ends, whenever that may be. And Jeremy Colleton has replaced Claude Julien as Canada's head coach. I guess Julien was doing a team-building activity in Switzerland. He took a Dixie on the ice, fractured a couple ribs, so the doctor said he's not fit enough to fly to Beijing. And, 12 years.
He saw the roster.
He's like, oh, yeah, how do I get out of this?
Oh, my elbow.
Look at this random banana peel right here. Oh, shit. And, have fun, guys. Hey, good luck to Colleton, though. That was a tough exit in Chicago, and a young up-and-coming coach. Nice for him to get a second chance here.
Julian's never skied before, and he just takes the lift up to a double black diamond in Switzerland, just goes straight down. This will get me out of it.
Oh, shit.
He's like, oh, look at this, a half pipe.
A lot of people suspect that Stahl is going to be the captain. It would probably make the most sense. And if he is, it would be 12 years after winning gold back in Vancouver. He's already a member of the Triple Gold Club, Olympic, Stanley Cup, and World Cup. So, let's see, moving right along. The East Coast Hockey League suspended Jacksonville Iceman forward Jacob Panetta for the rest of the season, 38 games, as a result of a racial gesture. He'll have a conditional opportunity to apply for reduction of the suspension and reinstatement after March 17th of this year, pending successful completion of a learning experience conducted in conjunction with the NHL's Player Inclusion Committee. The statement from ECHL Commissioner Ryan Creelan, quote, insensitive actions and gestures, regardless of intent, cannot be tolerated in our game. We all need to learn and grow from this incident and remain steadfast to further educating and advancing our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout our league.
Whit, did you want to comment on this? Because I felt that, obviously he came out with a statement afterwards saying that was not what he was gesturing.
All his
he was
teammates
gesturing
did
them.
too. All his teammates
Right.
released a statement. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for Jordan Subban as well.
Yes.
But I also, call me a sucker, I believe that this kid completely was doing the tough guy shoulder shrug move. It was taken the wrong way. And now all of a sudden his season's basically over. He was released. Who knows if he gets signed? And it was a lot different than the other instance of the kid completely admitting what he was doing as opposed to this one. So for his teammates to come out and release a statement, I thought that was really nice of him. I think they all believe in the character that they know. Panetta is truly a good guy and wouldn't have done that. But it's just a shitty situation.
Yeah. And obviously we're not discrediting what Jordan said about it. And we talked last week about how PK spoke, and he said these are the types of gestures that they would see growing up. So
both can be true here, I think.
Right, exactly, right? So it's just, it sucks. I don't know if they've been able to communicate and have a conversation about it, but you just hope that if in fact that wasn't what he was gesturing, that this can all be somehow patched up behind the scenes to where there is no animosity, where Subban is able to believe that wasn't the gesture. But you can't put yourself in Subban's shoes because you don't know what he put up with growing up his whole life. So it's such an unfortunate situation. But as I said, if in fact that was not what he was doing, for him to get his whole season canceled, and for this, which it probably still will, it's going to follow him around the rest of his career and probably into his professional life, right? And if it's not what he intended to do and not what he actually was doing, it's fucking brutal, man. It sucks, and it creates more divisiveness, and that's not to also take away from the other incident that happened last week with Boko Imama with the incident in the AHL as well. So it was a really tough week, and to hear that news, it's just like you hope that they eventually get it all right, and that we don't have to deal with this thing in the future.
Well said, Biz. Well said. All right, well, this one is for all you beer league hockey players. Make your team the envy of the league with men's league sweaters. I can't imagine some of the beauty uniforms we're going to see out in Vegas this week, because the Chiclets Cup men's league sweaters are going to be all over the place, and they crush it, man. Whether they do them for jokes or whatever, or for your real team, these things are unreal. Men's league sweaters are perfect for any team and offer customers online design, fast free delivery, and easy reorders. There's G's right there. There's our legendary Detroit uniform right there. We love the sweaters, and now you can be a hero and win your team free jerseys. Visit mensleaguesweaters.com/chiclets to enter for a chance to win your custom jerseys. But hurry, because the offer ends soon. Can't wait to see a bunch of these when we get to Vegas, man.
And the guy who owns the thing, Steve from Men's League Sweaters, he's awesome, easy to deal with. I see their jerseys popping up at in different events and other things that people around the hockey community are doing. So it's great to see a guy who puts out such a great quality product is continuing to grow from a company standpoint. So to Men's League Sweaters, I'm so happy when we first started doing these events that you guys somehow contacted us and we're working together. And I'm super, super excited to get my hands on the Big Deal Selects brand new jerseys that will be rocking in Vegas.
I think the Barstool jerseys might be the best ones we've ever done. We've done 2 pond hockey tournaments, a street hockey tournament, and this one's an ode to a former USA hockey team, but it is unbelievable.
I'm intrigued. I think that's about all the hockey news we have. I know Biz loves the extracurricular stuff. We got Biz, the Baseball Hall of Fame stuff. Did you give a shit about it? Big Pappy gets in. Clemens doesn't. A-Rod doesn't. Bonds doesn't. I mean, the Baseball Writers Association of America, I think collectively a bunch of dorks, and the fact that they're allowed to vote on all this stuff is kind of wild. But I don't know. I mean, I don't give a shit at the end of the day, but what's your take on it?
Well, I mean, I think it's undeniable that he saved baseball during that era, him and Mark McGuire, and it's so fucking hypocritical. Who else, RA? Would there be a couple? Or Sammy Sosa was another guy in the mix there for the home run chase. And I think it was well aware everybody at the time was doing juice. And even back then, didn't they say a couple of like the old school famous guys? They used to do the
greenies,
greens?
Yeah, oppas.
Greenies.
Like there was like meth.
Yeah, so... And at that time, that was the way to get ahead of it. And those guys ended up in the Hall of Fame. So I just look at it as being ultra hypocritical. And it seems like baseball getting in the way of itself again. And a big reason why hockey's probably going to eventually take over from a popularity standpoint. Not a big deal. I mean, I'll say this though. Hockey at the pro level, especially the NHL, was extremely difficult for me. I could barely keep up to some of these guys physically. If I found out that like 75% of the guys in the league were juicing when I was playing, I'd be fucking furious, because it essentially, like, they ended up making more money and had more longevity and got to put up better numbers because they were fucking cheating. So if you're going to stick with the no cheating shit, put them all in the same category. But I don't even think that there was a rule back then against using steroids. Was there? It was just kind of this unwritten rule that you don't use steroids.
Yeah.
So I don't know much about baseball, but I know that it just seems like everybody during that era was taking steroids. So it's just like, well, he was the best guy who was taking steroids. Throw him in the Hall of Fame. He might be one of the better. He's probably top 5 greatest baseball players of all time.
Oh yeah, and he was unreal before steroids when he was like 135 pounds on Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
like 40 steal. Like just, it's an absolute joke that he's not in the Hall of Fame. I think part of it has to do with how much of an asshole he was to a lot of media members. He was a gigantic prick. But David Ortiz belongs in there. I'd put them all in. I mean, Clemens, how are these guys not in the Hall of Fame? It just doesn't make sense. But these baseball writers, they have enormous egos. They feel like they're upholding the sanctity of baseball by not allowing them in. But Ortiz is in, even though I guess he was never on like a list. It's just, now it's gone so cuckoo because there are guys who've used that aren't in there and guys who aren't that deserve to be in there, where the Hall of Fame's become kind of a joke. To me, it's the Hall of Fame. Like Barry Bonds, like, without him, the entire story of baseball isn't written. Like, it doesn't matter what he did. So I think he should be in, along with Clemens, along with A-Rod, and along with the rest of the unbelievable players who did juice. And it was a bullshit move, but they were all doing it, and they didn't want to get left behind. So that's what it was.
In the media,
they should all do it one year. The most unlikable guys, RA. Just A-Rod. Who else would be?
Was A-Rod up already, RA?
They should do Pete Rose, A-Rod, and Barry Bonds, and then one other guy the same year. Just that would be.
I thought A-Rod wasn't up yet.
I mean, I thought he was. Like I said, I could have sworn I saw his name there. Either way, he's probably not. I mean, because of this bullshit, like the media played dumb during it. Like everybody knew what was going on. Maybe the public at large, but the guys covering the team, like all of a sudden these guys are showing up spring training looking all jacked and shit, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, these guys can't get in. Like they didn't say nothing when they had the opportunity. They play
dumb, RA, I don't even think they were playing dumb, because guys were doing post-game interviews and they would have the gummy things that had the steroids right behind them on the shelf. Like they weren't even necessarily hiding it.
Yeah, but they monster pimples with whiteheads all over their shoulders and fucking elbows. Like, I'm pretty sure they knew that they were juicing. I do remember, though, whether it was the summer of 98 or 99 when Sosa and McGuire went on that run. This is before internet, before cell phones, and I just remember waking up every morning, turning on SportsCenter. Did they go yard? Did they go yard? And sure as shit, that month of August, I think Sosa hit like 20 or whatever it was, and it was just so cool before checking your phone phones, and before knowing exactly when things happen, just waiting the next morning to find out and seeing that run that really did save baseball. Unfortunately, guys, they're talking a little bit more. Biz, RA, and G. I gotta run right now. I'm gonna take my my wife out to dinner before I'm gone in Vegas for 5 nights. So I'm gonna leave you guys hanging. Thank you so much for listening. I had one show recommendation. I crushed and binged the morning show. It's from 2019 on Apple Plus. I really enjoyed it. A lot of really bad reviews. I had never even heard of it. Jennifer Aniston, Steve Carell, Reese Witherspoon about basically the Matt. It was kind of like a playoff of the Matt. What was that scumbag's name?
Lauer.
Matt
Lauer was kind of like the morning. I recommend it. I enjoyed it. Apple TV. Thank you so much for listening to me. These guys are going to take you home, and I'll see you all in Vegas. Love you all. Peace.
All right, see you in a couple days. And yeah, A-Rod, he was on the ballot this year. He only got 34% of the voting, so I'm not going crazy. But either way, man, it's like these fucking baseball nerds arguing about this shit. It gets old. Whit, I'm sorry, Biz, you included this other story in the outline about the Crystal Palace Soccer Club. They're going to be the first club to offer an aftercare program for released players. Let's see, dedicated.
Well, Grinelli sent that over to me, and I thought it was a great story, and I hadn't picked a baseball, Jesus Christ. Get it on the rails, Biz. I hadn't picked a soccer team yet, so they're going to be my soccer team based on this information.
They're going to have a dedicated 3-year aftercare package that'll support released academy players in making a way of life other than playing for the club. So, yeah, it seems like a pretty cool thing. You wonder why teams haven't already done it, but do you think this will become sort of a regular thing, Paul? Maybe not in North America, but at least European soccer?
Yeah, so I'm so impressed with how progressive sports are becoming, just from a life and a transition standpoint back into regular life. And I would probably say that soccer should have been the first one, because when you're looking at these clubs overseas, they start picking these kids up at young ages. And I know that they're being provided schooling, but I think for the most part, especially as you start getting better and the years go on, closer to pro, hey, and I'll be honest, like playing in the OHL, I understand how the importance of schooling was compared to the actual going and playing. Like, I was caring way more about what was going on at the rink and my performance than I cared about my grades. Now, am I saying that that's every guy? No, but it's a lot for young kids to handle both, and most of these kids want to make it to pro, so they do focus more on the athleticism part of it. So for them to introduce that now, keep in mind, some of this will probably be offered to people who are coming in just as professionals who might not have even been signed by the organization at young ages. But I just think it's a good thing, because I sometimes see my peers and how hard it is for them to transition outside of playing sports into the real life. To have that soft landing, I think will benefit players and people, more importantly, immensely moving forward. So, I mean, Crystal Palace, that's a hell of a thing to do. And not just for the 1 year, to do it for 3 years. And even if it's a job where you're being placed for, 50, 75 grand, where you're thinking, well, maybe that's not a ton. And, what if they have, but it's like, it's somewhere where they can come and learn how to adapt and maybe transition to, even it's something in the soccer realm. Maybe it's something in management. Maybe it's anything to do with the club. And or, like, I know in the AHL, the Players Association at the time, they would come around and they would say, hey, if you want to become a fireman, you could take all the online testing over the course of the season. That way, when the season was finished, they were able to go do the physical testing and then boom, right into it, RA. So you're not really wasting that cushion time, and you're getting guidance as to how to kind of maneuver through that transition. So I know I was long-winded in my answer, but I think it is so important, given the circumstances, and as I said, most of the people that I've been in touch with throughout my playing days.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be some ripple effect, because these teams are worth so much money, man. I think the cost, it's not a ton of money to invest in, these people as human beings. And to, like you say, we talked to other guys doing the show, and it's a tough transition for a lot of these guys. I mean, their hockey career is over at 32 years old. Christ, I was still bartending in 32 looking for a career, so I can't imagine, like, you have to give up your livelihood and go into something else. So good on Crystal
All right,
Palace.
picture it this way, and we've talked about it before too, is like you show up to training camp and your schedule for 9 months is set. And even when you go home in the off season, the trainer's giving you most of the time a package that you can follow to stay in shape. In some leagues, your rent's being taken care of. The buses have the times already time slotted. So you're kind of having your ass wiped, so to speak. And then all of a sudden you get out of the game and you're in charge of making your own schedule and being your own boss. And that sometimes becomes very
two broken
difficult
shoulders, and you can't wipe your ass with either one.
There you go.
Back.
There you go.
Let's see. Did you watch the show Euphoria on HBO, Paul? I don't know if I asked you this before.
I don't watch a ton of television, so no.
I do, Biz. I mean,
are you a fan of it? Yeah.
I love it. I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy.
It's a cool show. I think we're on, is this season 2 or season 3, man? I can't, because of the
season 3.
COVID ruined my ability to keep track of time. But yeah, Biz, it's about like high school kids, and I don't know if it's like a perfect representation of Gen Z or millennials or whatever the fuck you want to call them, but it's a pretty wild show, man. These kids, it's centered on one girl, Rue, and she's an addict and has addiction issues, but there's all the all the requisite teen sex and drugs and rock and roll and all that kind of shit. It's interesting as hell. It's a great show. Like, it's terrifically made. The acting, writing is good. If you were looking to dive into a new show, I definitely recommend it. I haven't seen too much lately either because so much hockey has been on. But
yeah, rarely do you hear a guy like Leonardo DiCaprio pump a show's tires, and he pumped this show's tires early on. And the main actress is
Zendaya, yeah.
Zendaya.
Oh,
Zendaya. And once again, I've never watched this show, but I know who this girl is because she's probably the most famous actress in Hollywood right now. She's everywhere. She's dating this Tom Holland kid. Who was the latest Spider-Man, which I don't know how many
17.
Spider-Mans there are now, like 17 million of them. But I also saw a show a movie, with Denzel Washington's kid, and they collabed on it. It was done in black and white, and it was them at a house after an award show. I don't remember the name of it, but you could tell this girl's got major acting skills.
Yeah, she got chops. I think she was a Disney star, G, right? Back in the day, she was on the Disney Channel.
Yeah, she was. I believe it was actually Nickelodeon.
Okay, yeah.
But R.A., that Nate, Jacob Evaldi, I think is his name, he is one of the most hateable characters of all time.
Yeah, that's when you know someone's doing a good job acting, when you absolutely hate them. But is it Zendaya or Zendaya? I always thought it was Zendaya.
Zendaya.
Yeah,
Zendaya.
I wasn't familiar with her because she was a child star, and obviously I don't watch Nickelodeon or Disney or whatever. But I watched.
Yeah, be careful.
I watched her on this show, man. She's got chops unreal. I think she either won a SAG or an Emmy or something for her performance. But to the role she is, to be like an addict, I don't know what her personal life is like, but she nails so much of the nuances of what she has to do. Terrific actress, great show. If you haven't started it, definitely highly recommend it. Also, too, they've increased the amount of peckers that we see on TV because we really don't see a lot of schlongs on TV and movies anymore. It's just always been that way, but Euphoria is changing that. I think we've already seen...
All fake, though, R.A. Those are all fake cocks.
Are they?
Come on.
Yep. It was reported that all the cocks are fake. It was all done in makeup, and they took hours to construct.
I would actually, if I had to do a naked scene,
That's
I would
a bummer.
for sure have to get a fake cock because I got an ugly hammer on me. They'd have to roll back the Forzy on it, too. All right, you said that it's got a lot of, it kind of depicts what this new Gen Z crowd's like. Are they just so much more exposed because of the internet where they're doing crazier and crazier shit nowadays?
I mean, I think every generation does crazy shit. Maybe the level's been up because of the internet, but yeah, I wouldn't say it's 100% accurate. I don't have kids, so I'm not really in that world, but it's definitely like a peek at what kids are doing these days. And yeah, I mean, like the growing up with your phone in your hand since day one, and all the sexting and shit that goes with all that. So all these different elements that basically you didn't grow up with as a teenager that these kids have to navigate. So it's interesting from that perspective too. Plus, like I said, it's just brilliantly shot. The writing's good. It's just a good show to look at, and it's interesting, man. I definitely, if you're looking for a new show, check out Euphoria.
When's the last time you saw, I guess you in this show? I think the last time that I saw a dick on screen was Kevin Bacon in Wild Things.
Wow. Yeah.
That was the last time I saw a dick on a movie or a television show. Now, gee, you're watching the show, so is there just schlongs everywhere? Like, do they do a good job in the makeup? Do they look like nice hammers?
Look like big, nice, veiny, triumphant bastards. They're good. They're good dicks. They're good cocks.
Because I could have sworn one of the kids who, like, remember the scene, a couple episodes back when the girls hide in the tub and the one kid comes down, he sits down and you can see his hammer. He actually come out and said that was his real hammer. So I don't know if his was real and others were fake, but it's interesting because.
Maybe makeup did a real good job that day where he looked at it and was like, you know what? I'll go with the makeup dick instead of real dick. That is my real
you know what?
dick.
I'm going to investigate this further and come back with an update for our next episode on the dicks and euphoria.
I was talking to Joffrey Lupul a little while back when he did the ESPN body issue. And I think that he told me when he went in and did it, he actually popped, I don't know if it was a 10 milligram Cialis or Viagra, just because he was a little nervous. When you're standing around, sometimes it might be a little cold, right? So you don't want like a fucking picture to surface where you got a little shrinky dinky going on because of the weather. So I might be mistaken about that, but I'm pretty sure he confessed to me that he did that. And if I did a show or a movie or a photo shoot where I was in the buck, although covered in ESPN, I for sure would take one because I don't want I'm a bit of a grower, not a shower. So that would be tough sledding.
Definitely want a little chub up, especially if it's a cold set.
Maybe add a vein down the middle too.
All right, Biz, any other final notes or stuff you want to share before we wrap up shop on episode 371?
I want to congratulate Canada on the soccer.
Oh, yeah. Qualifying.
They are 99%, I believe, headed to the World Cup, and that hasn't happened in 50 years. And they ended up winning a big game this past weekend, and I'm very proud, and a lot of people in Canada were very, very excited about that. So it's great to see, man. Soccer is definitely a growing sport in Canada with how expensive hockey is becoming. And of course with the multiculturalism and the amount of people that are there. So yeah, I'm proud, and I don't know if there was anything else I had here in my notes. Brian Daubel, he's the new coach of the Giants. He was actually born in my hometown of Welland, Ontario. I think he's the offensive coordinator of the Giants, who just
he was the offensive coordinator of the Bills, and then he just went to the Giants. Former Belichick disciple, actually, as well.
There you go. So congratulations to a fellow hometown legend.
Boy.
And Brian, is it Daubel? I hope I'm not fucking it up.
Dayball.
Dayball.
All right.
That's all I got, buddy. That's all.
We had a fun episode. Hopefully you did too. And when we talk to you next, we are going to be in Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada for the Chiclets Cup, and we'll check back then. Have a great week, everyone. Hope you have a good one.